All right, welcome to the Rocket Launcher podcast. This is episode 7, and you are rocking with Supreme King. I am here with my co hosts.
It's your boy Omazis.
Yes, and we are here again for another episode. And right now on the screen, you are seeing the game Stray, which has taken the nation by storm. And this
Game
is
of the
your
year.
footage this time. You're saying it's game of the year already. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's taken over it's taken over. I think we've gotten a couple clips already about Stray, and we've talking about Stray, a bunch of times already. But this is your footage, so I'll give you the floor as far as Stray is concerned. What is your first impressions of Stray?
I love this game. So I couldn't help myself. I went ahead and just bought it right away.
Okay.
Uh and it's like it's this beautifully crafted game. You really get to just be a cat. You can knock things over just because. There's a dedicated, I mentioned before, a dedicated meow button, and I had this trophy where if you meow 100 times, you get the trophy. Got that within like
Did you spam it, or was you just playing it like normal?
So at first I was spamming it, and then I was actually playing like normal. And it turns out while you're like platforming, puzzling, so like what you see on the screen is you're looking for the little droid robot that you see in a lot of the trailers, and he's connected to a lot of the grid, and he's trying to guide you. As you can see, like that arrow pointing to go a certain way.
Okay.
And if you're confused about where you should be going, you can meow, and he like has the lights kind of tell you which direction to go. So after a while, when I was getting confused on what to do, I was meowing just to figure out where I was supposed to be going. Very easily got that trophy within like 30 minutes.
Nice.
So one thing to note for the game is when you're jumping that you'll never like miss a jump. So you don't have to worry about trying to angle and time it correctly. Like you'll make your jumps. But other than that, you get to like knead like a cat, scratch on things, knock things over. But besides just being a cat simulator, you're actually trying to uncover this mystery in the world. So if you've seen the trailers, you've noticed that there's all robots and like no people.
Yeah,
So you're
it's
kind of learning like,
post-apocalyptic. Yeah.
yeah, and you're trying to piece together. Well, you're not trying to, but like the little robot that's with you is trying to piece together its own memories along with like what happened. Why are we in a post-apocalyptic era? Why is there just robots? What's going on? Along with you're trying to get back to your cat friends.
Yeah, shout out to Claptrap and RoboCop. All of them seem to be in here from what I've seen. Well, not RoboCop, but man, this
So perfect right here. If you
yeah,
meow and those little cameras, it'll like nod and you'll see like lights flicker to tell you go this way.
nice. I just know I saw this game everywhere. Like I know a lot of streamers are just playing because they streamers, but I
Uh huh.
remember seeing a lot of photos or whatever that was being posted by like PlayStation directly of everybody with their cats and
Yep.
everything, which was kind of cool.
My
I
cat did. He
Your
did
cat
not
didn't
care.
care.
I was
Your
being
cat was
scared.
jealous. Was he jealous of this
He
game?
was, well, maybe he was laying under me.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm in my chair and he's just kind of like between like my feet, just like under the chair, just knocked out completely.
Oh, was you trying to take one of these photos and send it to PlayStation or whatever?
Maybe if he was actually going to pay attention,
If he was gonna
but
pay
nah, he.
attention. Yeah, the game is cool. Here's my only thing for the gamers who are playing this and stuff, and the people who got attention to this. I just want to give some awareness for cats. Basically, don't forget to adopt a cat. Don't forget to actually take care of the real cats you got or
Yeah.
the ones in your neighborhoods and stuff. Like those cats are the ones that really need it. Like this game is still cool and everything, but I'll have to say, it's very traumatizing for a cat to kind of live in this world. This one's like really extreme. If you see how this
Oh,
cat's like jumping everywhere, but yeah, if you know cats in the neighborhood, like a can of tuna wouldn't hurt. Throw it out there, whatever. They give them out for like like 4 cans for $1 or whatever. Give them, help out these cats, man. I'm a cat
yeah.
person myself, but I just made it dark, didn't I? I just made it real dark. Like, dang, like
Oh, it
it's
was
supposed to
very
be
caring.
fun. It's
Care
supposed to
about
be fun.
the cats.
Yeah,
I like
man.
the message. Care
You
about the
like the
cats.
message? Yeah, man. We love the
Yeah.
cats. Shout out to all the
Oh,
cats.
but
But
yeah, for the game, nice, like
mhm.
chill puzzle platformer, right? So it's like you are platforming. The interactions are pretty cool. You can like cut people off by meowing. Like there's a whole part with some people tossing paint cans, and I
Yeah,
meowed in the middle of them tossing, and the dude drops it on like the ground and upsets like another robot.
yeah.
Uh,
So
so things like that,
it ain't
kind
like
of collect.
just goat simulator. It's like it's more
Uh,
to it. There's more going on.
Yep. So
Yeah,
those lights that just bounced there, that
yeah.
was me meowing to figure out where I was supposed to be going. So it was
Okay,
like
so
hinting follow.
they do some like sonar kind of thing or like some Batman detection
Yeah.
kind of thing. Okay,
Yeah. But
okay,
for the this little robot guy like trying to get you to help him. So he's like, please come this way. So it's like when you meow, the lights are like this way, and then the arrows. And then you just got to figure out how to get there yourself. But it's pretty cool. Another fun thing that you could do is just like certain areas where you can sleep, like you can cuddle up next to robots or like in a bookshelf and like just kind of go to sleep as the cat when you're like resting. And I did that, and there
nice.
was another trophy that you get for sleeping for an hour, like a real-time hour. So you just do that and then put the controller down.
Oh
So I
my
did that with
gosh.
like rendering some videos and stuff, and yep.
Okay, well, just keeping the game on standby. That's interesting.
uh
Probably cook some
but
food and come back or something, or watch a movie,
yep.
come back. I guess. All right, all right.
Yeah. But it's fun. It is a relatively short game. I haven't beaten it
Yeah,
yet, but I know it's about 4 or 5 hours
yeah,
long.
yeah.
But based off of the gameplay that I'm doing, I feel like the 4 or 5 hours means it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Right.
Um, and it costs 30. Like it was $30 for
That's
like a
not bad
five
at
hour
all.
game, and
So
I'm like that's good.
yeah, that's good. And then at the same time, if you have like PlayStation Plus Extra, I believe it's on there day one, and
It
then
is.
you can get it on PC as well, and probably play on the Steam Deck or something. You know,
Uh
so
huh.
you got some options. I think it's going to go fully multi-plat later on, though. I think later on it
Okay,
will be, but
that'd be nice.
for right now, I mean, even with it being like maybe 4 or 5 hours, I know that turns some people off. You still can free roam, right? Aren't you able to still just run around the way you are right now as a cat if you don't go
Yep.
forward in the objective?
So some parts do feel a little bit like guided. Like some of this part was a little not like it was kind of hallway. Like you're supposed to go this way. I couldn't just jump to the ground and wander off.
Okay.
But when I got to this one area where I'm supposed to complete the main objective, I'm actually just doing extra stuff. So like, there's one robot who's like, I can play music. I just don't have any sheet music with me. And I had noticed that I had collected. It said like 2 of 8 sheet music. So now I'm just kind of walking around looking for sheet music, casually and like interacting with other robots. And it's like, eventually it's like go to this building to get help. And I'm just kind of like walking around the whole city doing like other stuff. So you can definitely take your time, take in the scene, read some of the stuff that pops up. They're not like Skyrim levels of like 3-4 pages of book text that you have to go through for
There's
every
no
book.
lore. It's just
Skyrim. Yeah,
okay.
it's
Not
little
too
things
much
like it'll be
lore.
like a sentence here and there that gives you a little more backstory. Try not to spoil anything. But like I don't even know all the answers, but it'll be like just little things here and there that is kind of like trying to explain bits and pieces of why the world is the way it is.
Right.
Uh and yeah, just take the time, look at them, read them, take in the scenes. Like everything's rendered very nicely.
That's
Uh
awesome.
yeah,
Now, so is
love
this
the
your
game.
game of the year? This is what you calling so
Yeah,
far? This
yeah,
is your
yeah.
game of the year?
All of this game of the year. It's solid experience, at least so far from what I've played. Uh, Beautifully done,
Okay.
and you see everybody's going crazy over it, man. Game of the
Yeah.
year. You can
Awesome.
knock over books and paint just because, like, there was paint here, and I just knocked it over, and it didn't do anything. It didn't need to be knocked over. It wasn't in the way. I went to it and just knocked it over, and it was fine.
Game
Like,
of the
yeah,
year. That's awesome.
yep.
All right, cool, cool, cool. All right, that's good. That's good. I'm happy you're enjoying it. I can't wait to try it myself. Probably I might end up getting it like right around Black Friday. You know me, man. I just scoop everything at the same time of Black Friday. But I do want to move on to a topic that might be a little bit negative, but I want your take on this because I know you've seen some of what people were saying. And let's talk about Last of Us Part 1 and all of the debacle around Last of Us Part 1. You know, what is your take on this game? Do you think that this is a cash grab or you think people tripping?
This is a cash grab. It don't need to be made. So the first one still looks graphically great,
Okay.
right? And the whole
I
point of the
agree.
second one, what people wanted, was just like more of The Last of Us One, but graphically better. They didn't need to go back and throw the graphics back on The Last of Us One when they just remastered the game. Like they just remastered it for the previous system, and you can still play it on the current gen system, but now you're remastering it again. You're not adding really anything much to
Right.
it. It feels like a quick cash grab. They're trying to like, oh well, if you didn't like The Last of Us 2, but you really liked the way it looked, now you can play The Last of Us 1 again, the one you actually enjoyed. They don't need to make
Yeah.
it.
So what the big thing about it is too is what people were saying was that there was no gameplay improvements. So even for the people who like me especially, I thought it was going to be Last of Us Part 2 reskinned as Part 1, but the gameplay was Last of Us Part 2. And
Uh,
apparently there is no gameplay like upgrade. Like it's still Last of Us Part 1's game. So the little things that they made like, or they tweaked or enhanced in Last of Us Part 2 is not going to be in this game. So like one of the things is that you can
of
go
course.
prone and you can like really crawl around underneath a car and stuff like that. You couldn't do that in Last of Us 1. So now you can't do that in Last of Us Part 1, the new one, right? It's so confusing, right? But you
Yeah.
can't do that because the only thing they did that they upgraded was the visuals. And then they have some accessibility options for people who need them. And then I believe there's permadeath. And
Oh.
I just said this in a vid that's gonna go out in a couple of days. Basically, you didn't need to make permadeath. Like the person could just stop
Wait.
playing and they can restart on their own. Like
Yeah, I'm confused. There's only two characters, so like, if what Ellie dies, that's it. She's dead.
yeah, like if you die in Last of Us 1, you have to start completely over if you
Uh,
go under the permadeath setting to make it more
that
realistic.
that
But
just that's just a game over screen.
yeah,
And so that means they're trying to like do like you have to complete it within like one life.
yeah,
Is what you're
basically.
saying.
Yeah. So
Oh,
that was in Last of Us 2.
that
That
only
was
works if you remove checkpoints
yeah,
to a
like
degree.
they just all they did that was like the one thing they did bring over from Last of Us 2 cuz that was something that they added on post game in like a patch update or
Uh,
something. And they brought that to this game and then they brought some of the accessibilities things to it as well. But largely the actual gameplay what you're doing in the game hasn't changed. It's still the same game. I believe they said they enhanced the audio, but they didn't change the audio, like the acting and stuff. It's the same audio as before. They just went into the original files and bought it over, and they did their sit down where they were like talking about how they've done all this work on it. And a lot of people was saying that they did that sit down because the internet was saying that there was no upgrade and they had to just put it out. Like that wasn't something that was done. It was done, but it was not supposed to come out that early. Basically, like it came out early because everybody been talking about this game, and
I don't know. This is they could have saved their energy from doing this. Like to be honest, uh,
yeah, I
because
thought
I
that.
feel like
I,
uh,
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say I thought that when Grand Theft Auto made that trilogy, and it came
Uh-huh.
out and people didn't like how it looked, and it looked very, very like The Simpsons in a way. Like they
Yeah.
basically created work for themselves. It was
Yep.
like you literally created work for yourself when you could have been working on for them GTA 6. I have a vid that's coming out that's saying don't do this, go work on part 3. Like that's
Right.
it only makes sense to work on part 3, and I think they are. I think they are cuz they also have that TV show that's right
Yep.
around the corner. And some people are saying that this is to sell the TV show, to go outside, go along with the TV show and stuff. You know, if
Oh,
what really stands out the most is that it still came down to the $70 price tag. Everybody looks at it sideways because it's $70. Because at the same
no.
time, it's still no different than PlayStation when it comes to director's cut and everything. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
It shouldn't be 70 because everything they're putting in there is like a patch update. Like that's not enough to justify 70. All of that stuff, the accessibility, the higher graphics and things like that, that's a patch update. That is you could have played the original one, they could have released a new 2 point whatever patch and then boom, all that stuff is in there. Uh for the GTA trilogy, even though that came out bad, the
Yeah.
logic behind it um to me makes sense. So and what I mean by that is like you got GTA 5 and that's been out for like years, right? So GTA
Right.
has some relatively like maybe some new players who were like kids who couldn't play it or things like that growing up. So that now that they're like at the age where they're allowed to play this stuff, GTA 5 is like really their first one.
Mm-hmm.
And re-releasing some of the older ones in a way may have been like they're older, so it's a case where you could have missed it, and it's a little bit harder to like play those ones, right? The convenience thing, right? Where
Right.
it's a little inconvenient to try and go back and play some of those without like knowing what you're doing for like PC stuff. Like it's difficult to go back and play those. So it's like here's a remastered version
Well, I gotta.
on
Yeah. Go ahead.
that
Go
you
ahead.
have now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead. But like for Last of Us, that'll make sense because you can still play that game like on current gen because it was either already re-released on the PS4, right?
Right.
And you could play it. So there's no reason for this one to be made outside of them just wanting $70 for some people. And I don't really think Last of Us has anybody who really missed it. Like, and even if they
Yeah.
did, the game is playable already on current gens, right? I couldn't just put in a San Andreas disc into my PS4 or PS5 for it to play, right? So like if that was my first generation of PlayStation console, that was the only way I could play this. But like if PS4 or PS5 is your first generation, you could already play The Last of Us 1.
Right.
You don't
I do
need
need to. I do need to mention though. Grand Theft Auto 3, just for the record, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas was still on the PlayStation Store. You could technically you were still able to buy it, and I remember there was a thing where they took them off the store when they released the definitive edition trilogy,
word.
and then ended up putting them back because of the backlash of how the new versions look. And
No, that made sense.
however, the funny part about it was the not Resident, oh my god, not Resident Evil, Red Dead Redemption 1 and Grand Theft Auto 4 was not available on the PlayStation Store. But I
right.
believe you can play those on the Xbox side, and you can play the disc-based versions on the Xbox side. Well, not disc-based
Oh,
version, but like through their backwards compatibility thing where they download their version.
oh,
But so, if anything, that would have made the most sense, and that was the one that they canceled, and they canceled it because of the trilogy. And so, yeah, that was a mess in itself. But with Last of Us, it's like that game. It was at the tail end of the PS3. I understand they didn't have the same technological advances as what the PS5 has, but they're not doing the same thing that they did with Last of Us 2, which was at the end of PlayStation 4 going into PS5. All they did was the graphical upgrade. Like when they said that in their sit down. I was like, oh, we couldn't show our vision. And it was like, but you didn't. increase anything. You just increase the graphics. So what else
Yeah,
was you gonna add? Like, like it's cringe because in real life we gotta call it a spade and a spade. This goes all the way back to Jim Ryan. Like as Vince McMahon is going out the door, Jim Ryan is coming into the spot in a different area because it's like this is his thing when it comes to PlayStation overall across the board because everything couldn't just simply be a patch update. It needed to be glorified into its own type of release and then turned into a whole new game. And they're going down the list with the director's cuts, with so far, what was it like? Death Stranding. There was
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima. I think even like Uncharted. Like it was kind of weird.
Oh, really?
It's like, yeah, Uncharted and Uncharted Lost Legacy. They like tried to combine it as one. Like originally it was sold separately. They combined it as one, and there's like here's an upgrade path for this, an upgrade path for that. It's like, man, I bought the system. Like that's the upgrade. Is me actually buying the system. And so Last of Us is no different. It's just the game Last of Us has a higher, standard, a bigger following and everything, and it just doesn't look like a good look for the brand. Because for me, I feel like they're making the brand look bad for Last of Us and some of the other ones because they keep doing a bunch of stuff that's negative attention towards, and it didn't even need it. It could have just been a simple masterpiece, and that's the end of it. Like, it just needed to be a good masterpiece. It did not need all of this negative attention because people are still going to go play Last of Us 1. If they're really good at it, they'll still play it on grounded mode. And, if they died once, they could just stop and just restart. Like, I've seen people do speed runs where the second they make a mistake, it was like, it's just a mistake. They restart from the get-go. And it's like, just because they thought they was not going to get the time that they wanted or whatever. It's like, if they have that much wherewithal of what's going on and they feel like, oh, that's a mistake, then permadeath was the same thing, and that's across the board. It don't matter what game it is. It's like, if you died, you would just stop. Like, you could stop on your own. So, yeah, it wasn't that much of an upgrade. I want to see a part 3. I want to see what they can do with it. I'm still one of the people who think that part 2's story was bad, that they went in the wrong direction. I still feel that way despite buying the game, even when I said I wasn't going to do it. But
I didn't.
Yeah, I still thought that the gameplay increase was good, and I still wanted to face the Rat King from what I saw.
Well, I told you how I thought they should have played out the story where they could have still told the story that they wanted, but done it different. Like I don't hate personally the story that they were telling. Yeah. I like dramatic twists and turns and things like that. So I don't hate the story that they were telling. I don't like the way they went about it. Also, I also love sometimes when I'll see certain things and I see things for background characters, I always think like from their perspective how things look. Right, that meme where they said that like if the Avengers were real, everybody would actually hate them, and it shows like people looking upset when it's like the Hulk smashing into your car to throw it at an alien, like the car you paid off, and you're just like looking like, really, me? So
your insurance don't cover it. They just like, destroyed everything. Go back on the news and smile for the camera, but it's like you stuck with like years of debt or something overnight.
Yup. So yeah, I don't hate the story itself, but I think it could have been vastly different while still going ahead and make what's her name, Abby, like still making her like a main character. I just think they could have told it differently to add more shock value without people like hating her right away.
There was a story,
so they would have hated her anyways. But like, I still feel like they could have done it differently.
There was a video I saw somebody made of a scenario of how Last of Us 3 would work that I think Naughty Dog probably is going to steal or do something similar because basically you still have Abby and Ellie, and they're supposed to hate each other, but the scenario was that they team up because there's this bigger threat that wants both of them dead, and that threat is so threatening that they'd have to team up just to survive. And I thought it
Yeah.
was an interesting scenario because outside of that, they were just kind of fighting each other for nothing because in the story, basically everybody was dying. It didn't really matter. It kind of felt like a waste of time. Like you got the experience of the game, but it felt like in the story what you were doing and stuff was a waste of time because of the scenario.
Yep.
And my problem was that they did all that Jerry Springer looking stuff. And I'm like, it's a zombie game at the end of the day. It was like
Yeah.
very drama, and it
Yes.
was like all of the groups of people who are going at each other for whatever their cause is, because that was the angles they were going in. I'm like, it's not realistic for a zombie game. In a zombie game, you trying not to die and you trying not to get bit. It was so many different things and real world awareness type stuff in there. I'm like, what are we doing? This is a zombie game.
Yep.
A zombie game. And they ignored the main thing that they introduced in the beginning in the first game, which was Ellie having what was essentially the cure in her body. Like that
Uh-huh.
took the back seat in the second game. They just went straight for drama, revenge, and Jerry Springer. And what I mean by Jerry Springer was just like it also felt unrealistic that there was like a love triangle on both sides at the same time as you're playing one
Yep.
character to the next character. It's just goofy. That
Yeah, it should
game
be the
felt
last
so goofy.
about trying to survive. Like,
Yeah, like what point you got this girl? Like there was this one girl in the game that was I forgot her name, but she was supposed to be like 8 months pregnant or something. And she's like out there with the rest of them, and they gave her a gun, and she's like climbing over the fence and stuff. Like, what are we
oh,
doing with this person who's pregnant? Like, you pregnant and you in a scenario where you gotta shoot and run from zombies. It didn't make no sense. And you like 7 or 8 months pregnant. Like, what are we doing? And then on the other
yeah.
side, the other girl's like probably 2 or 3 months pregnant and throwing up everywhere. And it was just like, and she's, with Ellie and fighting zombies too. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I'm supposed to believe that, like, in this crazy scenario, you got two girls the same age living the same kind of life. It seemed very, like, that was the thing I always talked about. I hated when it came to, like writing a story or something. It seems more like a cop out. Like, there are
Yeah.
two cop outs that I don't like. That's when somehow two people are living the same life on two different sides. I always feel like that's a cop out thing. And then the other one, which is the biggest one for me, like by a mile, is when somehow everybody is related. It's like that's what irks me the most. And technically, you got that in this game a little bit, where some certain people was like related and everything. Like that's not realistic when you're talking about a zombie apocalypse. It's like it's a
Yeah.
zombie apocalypse, like, and we got this like Dragon Ball Z kind of scenario where it's like, okay, the Saiyans are always here. That's
Yeah. A little
that,
too convenient.
yeah. So
So I guess I can bring it up. So what I was always saying before is like the way to me they could have told this story about revenge and things like that is so you got your normal Ellie stuff, and then for Abby and everything, all you kind of know is that she's out for revenge to whoever her dad, right?
yeah,
Eventually Ellie and Abby like cross paths and they're helping each other out. Like you're playing as both of these two, while like now that Ellie's old enough to like handle stuff on her own, Joel can stay back and make sure everything in the like home base is fine while she's the one kind of running out to go do stuff.
yeah,
And Abby's there like helping out. Like eventually when they cross paths, like they're helping each other every once in a while they off to go do their own thing. And you just know that one's out for revenge. So you're like helping her get this revenge. You're getting to know who she is. You're starting to feel bad for her. And you're like, yeah, let's get that revenge. Until finally she's on some like, oh, Like, I know the person I'm looking for is in this building, blah, blah, blah. You get her in there, switches to a cutscene, and we go golf club moment. And then the rest of the game is Ellie. And it's like, this is towards the end now. So then the
Yeah,
ending part of the game is now Ellie wanting revenge for this while you're feeling bad because you're the person that led Abby to this. While you're like rah-rahing, you're getting her backstory without knowing names. And you're like, yeah, whoever her dad is a jerk. Let's go get this guy. And now
yeah,
you realize who it is, and you're like, oh dang. Well, like, so now you see from her point of view, where like from yours, you're like, no, you're a hero. From her point of view, you're a villain. Now you're conflicted. You helped
yeah.
her. So you're now less likely to want revenge against her, but now you got to play about this other character who wants her dead, and now you're already feeling bad because you were just on her side until you realized who the target was. And I feel like that would have gotten the point across about how
Yeah.
like your actions can hurt others that you're not thinking about, um,
It would have
without
made
it
more sense than
early off
her
club
killing him.
moment, and it's like now play her. It's like no,
Yeah,
you lead up to that, and then you don't play her anymore. And then in the end, it's your choice whether you like revenge or you now actually understand her. I feel like that would have been a lot more compelling. And if you're not focusing on that drama early on, you can focus more on the zombies. You can
yeah.
focus on
You
the zombies.
know, award-winning Last of Us, Naughty Dog. Like Naughty Dog in real life. Let's keep it real. What world did you think the fan base was going to want to play as Abby immediately after killing Joel in like
Well, there's the
like
spoiler if you
oh,
didn't know already.
oh yeah, my bad. Some of y'all know. I'm sorry. Like
But
what world would
uh,
you think that they here's my thing about it though. They took like I kept comparing this to wrestling with John Cena. It was like, okay, you made Abby look like the greatest person ever after you saw her bury somebody. It was
yep.
just that was the whole thing. It was just
And that's why I thought it should have been the reverse way. Make her the greatest person so you see it, and then she buries the person that you like, and now you're like,
yeah. The heel
dang, I should
turn would have made more sense than
yeah,
you to be heel in the beginning and then you tried to be face
a face.
afterwards and the biggest part about those leaks, like everybody realized that yo, for a whole second half of the game, you got to play as this person. You don't even want to,
Yep.
and they worked so hard to try to protect that. I remember the reviews and stuff, and people couldn't even talk about certain parts of the game. It was almost like they were scamming people into it, and it was
Oh,
some
absolutely.
false advertisement there because in one of those
They put
trailers,
people
Joel
in
was
the
still
trailer.
alive.
Yep.
Yeah, like, and everybody thought they were still going to team up, and you never teamed up with Joel. You never teamed up with Joel except for like a flashback. And so,
Still.
yeah, like I don't know how they can go from there, but I would rather see them go from there than continually working on the same game. I know they're still going to do a factions. They claim they have a new story for factions as well, which I'm pretty
Uh-huh.
sure is going to be something short because that's still technically an online multiplayer. So I don't think that's going to be a long story. But I would still want to see a full fledged Last of Us 3 and actually like take the real feedback. Because the Game Awards clearly was biased. Like they won
Oh,
like
absolutely.
every award. It didn't even make sense. It was kind of laughable at some point that year. It was like, okay, it was like now you back in the drawing board. Everything out there is in the past. You in the drawing board. You know it's real. Actually do it correct this time. You got all the
Uh-huh.
feedback. There's plenty of videos out there where you can literally steal the story. Like go and get
They
a better story at this point and
they
do it
just
correctly.
gotta not be stubborn. That's it. They gotta not be stubborn and take the feedback and don't just be like, oh, they're just haters.
And for the love of God, do something about these leaks. Do something. What is going on with the employees too? Is it really that disgruntled over there? Who is
Yeah.
leaking? Like,
Uh,
like you know, here, like sometimes when something gets leaked with another game, it's usually like a rumor kind of leak. They don't usually be accurate like that. Like they're
yeah.
actually leaking. They're leaking some real stuff here. You talk about Like when The Last of Us leaks got out, they leaked full cutscenes and gameplay from different angles and stuff, so you can see exactly what they were doing.
Clearly,
They
somebody thought the story was bad too.
Yeah, somebody up in there who's actively working on it, or a contractor, or however. Like Naughty Dog supposed to be at like a really high level at this point. It's not like when they were first working on Crash. It's like they have a huge name. Like they got to get that together. You know,
Yeah.
even if you made Last of Us Part 3 really good, like it's really really good, like I'd rather, experience it through the game and not hear about it 2-3 months before it's supposed to come out, and I got full scenes and dev kits and all this other crap that's there. I was like, no, I don't want to see that. Like
Right.
I want to see the final product for what it is. So yeah, they gotta work on that. I did see in the promotional material that it was also a PC version that was gonna come out as well. So literally everything on that platform is gonna be on PC. Which leads me to my next topic, because I think we're done with Last of Us. Just
I
my
am.
last thing to say is just, work on part 3, like actually work on it. There with Last of Us Part 1 being released in September, that's not too far from now. That's going to be behind them very quickly. And then from that
Uh-huh.
point forward, holiday season forward, work on the next game.
Yep.
That's all I got to say. But the next topic is actually going to be real quick. It's just touch on Spider-Man also going to PC. I still want to say overall, this is a good thing. If you've already played it, don't worry about it. Just enjoy it for all the fanboys who want to fanboy. Here's why I think it's a good thing. Because I'm thinking like 15 plus years from now, when everybody's just doing all emulation, let's keep it real, like you can just play the PC version and you don't have to go through any type of emulation, and you can just keep upgrading your computer, and
Uh-huh.
you got a fully working version of a game, because the emulator is always going to be a middleman with certain games, and not every emulator works that well. And currently right now the most work that needs to be done is on like the PS3 and the Xbox 360 emulators, but or I guess you can throw like the Wii U in there as well. But most of the stuff have been patched out by the fans. But when you look at a game like this, once this type of game becomes retro, the same thing goes with God of War and stuff. Like who's sitting back mad at you when you playing the old God of Wars like on the Steam Deck or something, and it's not officially made or for that system or whatever.
War
Like,
people.
yeah, I mean, maybe somebody out there, somebody. I haven't seen too many videos of people really being upset when the system or the game is like 15 to 20 years old. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of when that game gets old, it's perfectly playable. Because
Yeah.
the more that gets perfectly playable on PC after the fact, then you can go back and play a certain game without no problem. So like the equivalent would be any of the PlayStation 2 games that are the Spider-Man games, like being able
Uh-huh.
to play that in on the PC like right now with no problems. You know, that's what I'm thinking about, because even though the disc is supposed to be game preservation, we already know game preservation is looking a little spooky, and emulation is going to literally be your final
Uh-huh.
thing. Even though people don't want to admit it and stuff, it's like you're probably going to
Fortunately.
end up, relying on emulation over your disc at the end of the day.
Yep.
It's just, it is what it is. But at least, the disc based games. So I bought both of them on disc, Spider-Man 2018 and then Spider-Man Miles Morales. But
Uh-huh.
at some point, even the PS5 and the PS4 is going to break down. It's like, and then what, right? But I think by the
Right.
time you get to that point, I mean, would anybody be mad at you if you played the PC version? Like, who's going to be mad at you for that? Like right
Some
now,
people.
I guess. I
So
guess.
I So I was never like a gatekeep video games and things like that. Like I didn't buy a PlayStation because there was like, well, that has the better games. I was just like, PlayStation had a lot of exclusive games, but that was a byproduct. Like I grew up, my god brother had a PlayStation, so then I wanted a PlayStation.
It just sort of
Uh,
happened, right?
and it
Yeah.
just I stayed with the PlayStation. So like I had a PlayStation One, and then it was like PlayStation Two or Xbox, and it was like, well, I got the PlayStation One, I'm gonna get a PlayStation Two. Like, and then I just stuck with the PlayStation thing, and then I got a PC, and then I got like Switch. So like, if I want a game, I'm gonna be able to get the game. Like that's just how that goes.
That's
The
how
only
I
people I
feel.
feel bad for, yeah, the only people I feel bad for, only, are the people who maybe had a PC, decided not to do emulation, and went out to buy a PlayStation solely for Spider-Man, and now it's on there.
Yeah, I don't think too
I
many people talk
don't
about the
feel like there's
reverse.
that many people. Yeah, I don't think there's that many people that did that.
Yeah.
But for the few that did, or like I don't want to have to deal with emulation or anything like that, and they went and bought the system solely for that game, and now it turns out they didn't really have to. They just needed to wait a few more years. I feel a little bad for them, but at the same time, you wanted to play it earlier, so you didn't want to wait, so you
I
got it early. Fine.
my
It,
my only thing, if I was to look at it on the business side, I do sort of question PlayStation's motive when it comes to the PC audience, because you technically told them to wait for everything now. Because in a matter of like 1 year, you've pretty much ensured the PC audience that they don't have to buy a PS5. That's basically what you
true.
kind of told them. If you
Albeit
were,
though,
yeah,
I have friends who like they're PC gamers.
okay,
And he saw some games that came out on PlayStation. He was like, "Man, those look cool." Oh well, like that was his mindset. Like he wasn't about to go buy a new system. It was like he really wanted to play them, but it's like
yeah.
I'm not about to go do that. I actually have a couple
That
friends.
frame rate difference was a big deal, though. I will admit it now from seeing it when I got my hands on my little computer. Because even with my little computer, I was able to see some differences. I was just like, whoa, you know.
So then it's like, so with that case, I feel like them now eventually telling like PC gamers eventually you like will probably be able to play it.
Yeah,
It makes sure Sony gets the money instead of like typically people they probably are going to buy it instead of just emulate it now because they know it's going to come out. So Sony will still get their money from it,
yeah,
and I feel like those people were not about to go buy a system to begin with, so they're
yeah,
like, I'm not going to play it. So if anything, it just gets more eyes on their games. That's
yeah,
all. So it's fine. As a, I guess even though I have a PC and a Switch, like I have a bunch of the systems, I guess I am still just a PlayStation guy. And I'm like, that's fine. Like I'm not all, oh, I bought this system, it needs to be on this system. It's fine. I'm just gonna
I'm
go play it on PlayStation. And if other
listen.
people are playing it too, that's more people that get to play it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm over here, man. I'm all about the Infinity Gauntlet, and what I call the Infinity Gauntlet is getting everything, man. I
Yep.
want. I have a few things that's on my radar, which is the PlayStation VR 2. Even though I'm not even really big on VR at all, but I want to get that. I'm hoping that they have the VR 1 stuff that's back compat on there. But even
Uh-huh.
if they don't, I feel like if they don't, I probably would still get the VR 1. It would just be like way, way later, right? But I still want the Steam Deck. I still want an analog pocket. The analog pocket is 1000% useless to me at this point from what I'm doing with my phone alone. But I want to be able to officially play everything and then play everything in emulation so that I cover all bases. Because if something don't work as good on one system, then I'll play it on emulation or something. Or if the fan base has like added some mods or something to make it better, then I'll play it through emulation first. You know what I mean? Or if emulation's not
Uh,
good, then I'll go get the game. Like that's where I'm at. I want to have a PS3 that's back compat on standby. So just in case, I can just go and like, okay, I'll just get this game real quick instead of like waiting to go. That's just me. That's just me.
great.
But I don't know. I think we went off topic, but Spider-Man, man, don't worry about it. Spider-Man on there is gonna still be cool anyway because everybody's gonna do all their fancy mods. You're gonna see some extra suits, some fan-made suits, and you're gonna see like other Spider-Man come back. Like people gonna do the movie thing, right? They're gonna do the
Yep.
whole like, yeah, they're gonna put Tom Holland in there. They're gonna put the other guys I can't think of their name, Andrew and Toby. They're gonna put them all
Kobe.
in there. Yeah,
Yep.
so yeah,
See some of
it's a
the other
good thing.
maybe do Silk or Gwen. Like do yeah, Spider Girl, Silk, Gwen, like some of
Yeah,
those. That'll be cool. Because it's a model where you get to just kind of play them in the
yeah.
city.
The
I'm down for that. Oh,
cartoon one. What was the? What was
the
the?
girl would be in which cartoon? Like all of them? Yeah, Spider Man the animated series,
Yeah, the original one, the one when I was young. But yeah,
Spider
like all
Man.
of them, they're gonna do all of it. So yeah. But moving on from that, I guess. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say on that? I think we good. I think we're good on that.
Good.
All right, there is something I wanted to speak on real quick. I don't think it's too much news, but I saw something on it. Horizon Forbidden West, the actress was going in to do some mocap, and it's not official, but it's rumors that it's for Horizon Forbidden West like DLC. So you might see some DLC. I think that is probably going to be accurate because the first game got DLC. It had a whole complete version, so I expect they're
Uh-huh.
probably to have some DLC for Horizon Forbidden West. So maybe you
You know
hear
what?
it here first. I don't know, but yeah,
Real quick, I gotta say what I do like about this though, the
yeah,
fact that they're making the DLC now, as opposed to like cutting stuff that they already did for the game and then selling it back to you later. Just to
yeah,
hear it's like they're making DLC for the game, so she had to come back in to do more. To
yeah,
me, that's DLC versus a lot of these other games where they're just cutting content and then selling it back later or
yeah.
finishing it later, sell back. But it was already in there to begin with. Sorry, mini rant. I'm good. I
Nah,
got it
that's
out my system.
good. I'm looking at your cat with the thing on his head.
Oh,
But
oh yeah,
yeah,
so it was in the bag, and when I did this part, the bag got on my head. It inverted the controls. So like left
oh,
went right, right went left, down went up went down,
that's
and
crazy.
like the bag on your head, you're all stuck. Uh, this
Yeah.
puzzle was interesting just to get like a music sheet. Like, uh, you get a note, binary code, and all people kept telling you was like only a nerd can translate it. So you had to go around to finally find the nerd for him to go. Why is somebody telling you to go to this one bar and then you find the somewhere to find the code in the bar just to come back here and unlock it. So it's like it's a cool puzzle. You got to figure out. Being a cat.
Yeah. So that DLC. We talking about Stray. But that's all right. That's fine. That's cool. But yeah, like so I think they had two DLCs before, if I'm not mistaken. Or I know one thing was like a language pack that I remember I was like, oh, I might want to try to play this in Spanish. But yeah,
Well, go back.
Horizon, yeah, they got this little DLC that might be in the works. I think this is correct. I think that is going to happen just based on the first game. And plus everybody who bought the game physical, remember it says launch edition on the box. So I mean that
Yeah.
kind of tells you there's going to be more than one edition at least. That's how I look at it. So but
Uh huh.
yeah, we can move on from that. That's all I really want to say on that. And then I do want to give you the floor real quick on. Let's jump down to. Let's start with Bungie. This would be funny. Bungie suing a cheater for millions of dollars. What's happening,
Yeah. So,
man?
there's this guy who's been labeled as a serial cheater. So he's constantly cheated through the game. The streamer that I don't like cheaters, so I'm not going to give him any credit by saying his name on here.
How are you
But
a
there is
serial cheater though? That's just
so he
crazy.
has made
Like it sound
13
like a.
separate accounts.
Oh my god.
13 separate accounts getting banned for cheating. So he keeps making a new one, and he'll even tweet things like a clip of me flying with infinite ammo walls and aimbots,
Oh,
right?
so
Like
he dry
he
snitching basically too.
yeah.
That's what we hearing.
Doing
All right.
weird stuff on Bungie. Bungie's getting real upset after they had to keep banning him, right?
Uh huh.
Um, and now they're suing him for I believe almost $2 million for harassment. Uh, so
Harassment.
he was I think contacting he was threatening employees. Uh, so he was like, "Keep your doors locked," is how he put it. To like scare them. And Bungie decided, you know what? We hate this guy, so we're gonna take that serious. And they're suing him for threat
Wow.
and cheating, and I believe it was like 1.9 million.
Is it really
Uh,
that serious? It's a game. We supposed to be having
yeah,
fun.
lots
What
of
the
harassment
heck?
too. So he's always harassing them. Uh,
That's
so
crazy.
Bungie's seeking a protective order preventing this guy from harassing, stalking, or otherwise engaging in contact with Bungie employees. As they also have to keep banning his accounts.
Oh my god, it was like 13 accounts so far.
Yep, he's
Over.
threatening and everything. So
Now,
yeah,
I
13
don't,
accounts
I don't think we
threatening
mentioned it,
employees.
but this is for Destiny 2, right? This is Destiny.
Destiny 2. Yep. Yep.
Yo, Destiny got a strong fan base, but I ain't got that much into Destiny to do all of that, and then get
Nope.
sued for that because he obviously don't got that money, but his life is ruined. I
Yep.
thought only Nintendo was the ones who was moving crazy out here with these like ending people's lives over these games, but I guess Bungie is the same way.
Yep.
But
Now it seems like they're more over on the threats to
yeah,
employees for the cheating, but the cheating's part of it too. Like, uh,
yo,
just don't cheat.
what are we
That's why I
doing
don't
in
play.
gaming though, where you gotta get to the point where you threatening the person who made it?
Right?
Like I know we kind of reporting on gaming a little bit now that we got like I have a channel and then you're like a prominent person on it, but it's just like at the end of the day, I don't need to know. Like I'm not even trying to be disrespectful about it. I don't need to know who's developing it overall like that. I don't need to know that each and every individual like that. I can know the name as far as name value. Like okay, it's Bungie, and then I can
Right.
recognize that Bungie is great or whatever. But I don't need to sit there and be like, okay, well, who's the person there, and then where do they live? You know what I'm
So,
saying? And then, like all this other stuff, and like, or I don't need to know all of that. Just put out the product, and I'll enjoy the product. What
so
is
after
going
a movie,
on with people?
the credits, right? I'll stay behind for the credits just because like I feel like a lot of people worked hard on that movie. So it's like a
Yeah,
way of
yeah,
like recognition stuff. Now it helps that like half of the movies always put end credit scenes too. But like even
yeah.
before that became popular, I never really walked out on the credits because I'm like, you know what? This is my way of like, I
But you
recognize the
ain't
amount of
Google the name though. You didn't
great.
Google them
I'm
and
not
be like
looking
where
at
you
these people and be
live.
like, "You cannot harass because I didn't like your movie." Like, no, like you don't do that. Like, just leave it alone.
That check is silly, man. Yeah, now you're getting sued for almost $2 million. I don't even, man. Imagine even if you made 2 million. Let's say you got 2 million, and then it's just taken from you because you're doing something like this. You know,
Yeah.
like that's a crazy scenario in itself. Like I'm not about to. It's not that serious. Destiny is cool. It's just a game, though. Witch Queen is just a game. Like so, yeah. That's what that person get. That's what you get.
Oh, absolutely,
That's what you
absolutely.
get. You
Lose it
deserve
all.
all of that. That's what you get for
Yep.
being crazy. You deserve it for that's what you get. I don't know what else to say on that. But that leads me into the next part, which is Google. So I have here this is on you a little bit too. So Google and Oracle was
Yeah.
having a meltdown or
So,
melting down in the UK,
yep.
right?
In the UK right now, this past week has been over 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's
So
crazy.
like it's been hot, like heat wave going crazy, just hot. So if you're over there in the UK and somehow listen to this, be safe. Stay cool, drink a lot of water because
Yeah.
it's hot over there. Well, they
And
weren't
somebody hot
prepared.
breath, man. They over there just breathing on everything.
So Google and Oracle weren't prepared for someone breathing all over everything.
Okay.
Uh, and now some of their data centers,
They're just
because of
melting.
the hottest things are just melting. So like their cloud servers, basically, they're
Dang.
breaking down. Like there was a breakdown in the cooling systems, and things are just along with things being super hot. Uh, like luckily with things being backed up, they're able to recover everything. But it was
Mm-hmm.
just like things are being destroyed and equipment's messing up, and like all of their cloud stuff is messing up. So it's very good that they put it on a back server as well, because if not, anything that was saved to their cloud through Google or Oracle, gone. So like if you're a gamer off of like Google, that information gone. Like you'd have to refresh on that if you play Google Stadia.
Yeah, I was gonna mention like, does this? How does this affect Google Stadia? Because do you know what's funny? Even though like this might sound disrespectful, I don't even want to be disrespectful. Even if it did affect Google Stadia, it's like, did that affect anybody though? Like, who is on Google Stadia? Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. It's like, you know what's funny? Because I did a vid a while back about Amazon Luna as tongue in cheek a little bit, but also just being curious, like to see who's got it, and
Uh-huh.
it actually got a little bit more traction than usual, and people were commenting on it. So it's like, yo, people probably do got Amazon Luna, which means people
No,
probably do got Google Stadia. So maybe I should shut my mouth. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about,
that's on
but
them. That's unfortunate.
that's
But
on them.
yeah, I feel like this more or less affects like UK Google like searches, like remembering what
Yeah,
like you may have already pre-searched, or if you have a Google phone, or Oracle
it
service,
might
things like
affect
that.
like
That's what it
some
messes up.
entrepreneurs too. I'm sorry to cut you off. It
Yeah.
might it might affect them because a lot of people run their business through their phones.
Yep.
You know.
So luckily, what they were able to do before things got lost, they realized things were messing up, and they were like, "Hey, emergency! We got to shut down the cloud servers like for 2 hours while we fix stuff." And they
Yeah.
have like a whole groundwater system like running through to like cool everything. But so nothing I don't think was like terribly lost. But
Yeah.
yeah, that heat wave is messing these machines up.
Yeah. It's funny, and I know you said like you always got to keep the air on. For me, it's like I could put the air on for like 1 second. Like if I was in that situation, dog, I already know me. Like I had the air on for a minute, but I'll turn it off for a second because I just want to see how hot it would get. Because a lot of times, from where I'm at, it stay cool inside, and I'm always drinking ice cold water, so I usually be okay. But
Jealous. You
I don't
sound like my
know.
brother. Like just liking this heat is just like, oh, it's too cold.
It's
But
not
air
even that
conditioning.
I like the heat. It's just I don't feel as hot as everybody else. I don't
Lucky
feel
you.
like that.
If it is above 65 degrees, I start to sweat.
That's so crazy to me. Cause I would look like, why you turn on the air conditioner? It's like 74. Like I would look at the thing, it'll say 74 degrees, and like it's not hot. You know,
Bro, if
people
I didn't
think
have
that's hot.
like if I didn't have a job and friends like
Which I've been
on this
friends.
side of the like in the US, you know how far into Canada I would have been moved just to like just be in the cold all the
So
time?
you like to be in the
Like,
cold. I like to be in the south in the heat a little bit.
nope.
I'm
I like to live where my face hurts in the winter, so I don't have to deal with the bugs, and I don't want to wake up and just be there's an alligator outside. Like I can't
say
do
that
that. Like
again. Your
I
face
don't want to.
hurts in the winter. What do you mean? Like your face hurts in the
So
winter?
it's like when
Oh,
it
you
gets so
mean
cold,
when it gets
like
cold, cold?
you have the wind hitting your face, so you have to like scarf up because it hurts. Like I'd rather live in that, so I don't have to deal with the type of bugs that come in the like heat. And I just I'm so uncomfortable in the heat. Like I hate it.
That's
I
the thing,
always
though. The biggest thing about the winter for me is like, even if I could take it, my car can't, or somebody's
that
car can't.
for
That's the
me.
only thing. It's like everybody cars and stuff usually break down. Like you'll know if you got a reliable car, like somewhere in October, or November time when the weather start to change, man. It's like your car just break
That's
down
the worst.
overnight.
For me,
So
it's the summer that goes hard on my car. Uh, like
really,
in little things Like, for example, the little like insulator thing that's like on the door.
Yeah.
Summer. Those things always come off.
Mm.
Like for every car that I've ever had or like used, like winter, fine. Summer, getting in the car, those things just I'm always like having to take a second to shove those things back in place because it's so hot that they're just kind of like falling out. Like everything's just hot. Just sitting in the car right away. I ain't fancy. I don't have like pre-start cars, so I gotta get in there with just heat and like wait till the air kicks in. Like nah, uh, I've always like I'd rather be in the cold.
Well, hopefully, I was about to say get well soon. I don't know if they.
Get
I
well
don't think
soon,
they're
Google.
sick. I don't know if they're. I don't know if they're sick, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I
Google
think
or get well soon.
get well
Best way.
Google. But you know
Get
what,
well. You,
Google, you be tracking my emails and stuff, and you be looking at all my messages and stuff, and I don't appreciate that. So I don't know how to feel, you know.
but you know what?
Mm.
Get well, UK. Stay cool as
Yeah,
best
the
as
UK,
possible.
yeah, sure. Multi-million-dollar Google is like you'll be alright. You'll be alright. That's how I feel. All right,
uh,
so my footage just came on, so that means we're at the halfway point. So I got to do my halfway point thing correct this time because I never made it to the halfway point correctly. So our unofficial sponsor, again, we all love free stuff. You like
ooh,
free stuff? I
I love
love
free.
free stuff. Yes, and we're going to talk about a free game that you can get even if you don't have a PC yet, because yes, this is a PC version of a game. I'm speaking on Epic Game Store, the Epic Games launcher. Even if you don't have the PC yet, you should go ahead and make an account and start claiming these games because it's free. 100% free. You do not need to have a credit card, just make an account. Um, it's funny I
Go.
say all of that to get them all hype, and then I gotta tell them what the game is. So this game that you get to play is Lawnmower Simulator. Yes, you get to cut grass. And so this game is going to be available starting from July 28th, and it's going to be available from then to August 4th. We're obviously not there yet, so any of the other games you have until the 28th to go claim. I forgot what they were. Go check last week's episode, or just go check the store. It'll tell you. But I claimed those games already, and afterwards they're giving you Lawnmower Simulator. And I don't know about y'all, but I cut the grass the most in the summertime when I had to cut the grass. And so if you have not gotten your fix from cutting real grass, don't worry. Epic Game Store has you covered. With the Lawnmower Simulator, you get to keep cutting grass as much as you want.
You
Are you
know,
excited to cut
we can tag
grass?
like absolutely not. But we can tag like this a little bit. Right? It's like, all right, hey, you miss going outside, but it's too hot to actually go outside.
There you go.
Simulate the outside with Lawnmower Simulator. There we go.
Yeah, I remember the meltdown that they had on like the PS Plus when they did the farming simulator, like in the middle of the lockdown. It was just
Oh,
like
yeah.
like everybody. It was that one, and I think City Lines. It was like go create a
Uh-huh.
city and go cut the grass and work on the lot, and everybody was mad. Like they put two
Yep.
duds in there at the same time. It was like at least
But you know
usually.
what? It was like you can't go outside. So, so
I can see if it was one and not the like one and not
yep.
the other, but they put them both like because usually
Uh,
one game is the main event game and you got the other one supporting it. It was like for that particular month, which one was the main event and which one was supporting it? Like that's how bad it was. Like you can't even tell which was which.
they, they didn't try. They did not try that stuff. It was like you two, leave us alone.
Yeah, that was crazy, but yeah, so that's the free game. And I want to talk about another game real quick that they gave away for free at one point. It's the game that's on the screen right now. It is called Hue. That's Hue. And this is a fun little puzzle game believe it's multi-plat, and you can find it at a very cheap price wherever you go to get this game. I am recommending this game. This game is about 4 or 5 hours long. I think it's like in the 5 hour range. If you just like, if you're not trying to be hardcore about it, it's a little bit more of a roguelike. You can see that every time I die, you start over the little part, right? And it's a puzzle, and you just got to get from one end to the next, basically, before you die. Or some, actually, you know, I can't say even if it's before you die, because it's like in some scenarios you're not in a life and death situation. You're just trying to open a door on the other side, and once you get to a certain point where you've completed all the puzzles in a certain area, you earn more colors. Like, I think in this footage, I don't have as many colors as I have when I got further on. But I get like pink and red later, and, you know, it adds more different scenarios and stuff to go through. So I'm recommending this one. This one is actually very fun to me. The music is fantastic, man. It is just good. Very, very relaxing. It's the type of soundtrack you can put on where, if you know how people dim the lights and then they have like wine and they eating steak and that stuff, and it's just like that jazzy music or something in the background. It has music like that. Like, the soundtrack is just something you could just play if you just want to put yourself in a certain mood, you know. So that with this is really good. So yeah, definitely recommending this. There will be a proper, I don't want to say review. I would call it more of impressions. I don't know if I want to call it a review. It might be a review if I finish it in time. But there will be a regular video on this in probably 2 weeks. Give myself a little bit of time. I'm actually about halfway through the game now, and it is still very short. But I do think it's worth it for anybody who wants to play this. You know, you can play a handheld on the Steam Deck, as well as, I'm pretty sure, the Switch as well. And then I think this is still available on PlayStation and Xbox. I haven't checked, but you got options. You got options. This shouldn't run you more than like $15-$20 at most. But I think I got mine for free.
Currently on sale on Steam and Epic for 80% off. So it's like $3 right now.
Oh, it's definitely worth $3. Yeah, so snag this ASAP. Snag this ASAP for whoever don't got it yet. This is definitely worth that. The soundtrack alone is just awesome. And then you got a fun little puzzle thing right here. So yeah, you know, you go through the whole thing, and then once you finally make it to a certain point, you get more colors and you get more scenarios. So yeah, definitely recommending you. And yeah, that's my recommendation for this week. Technically, you know, I guess you're recommending Stray. Everybody's already recommending Stray. So
yeah, I recommended Stray.
Yeah, so this is something that's already out there that people can get their hands on that they probably don't even know about. And that's something I want to do going forward, is start streaming some of these games, like the ones where, because when you think about it, like, everybody will say, like, you got to stream these because that's how you get the clout. And it's like, everybody's going to stream. Like when Elden Ring was out, of course everybody was going to stream Elden Ring. And like right now, of course everybody's going to stream, you know, Stray. But let's really think about, how did Among Us get popular? Right?
People had to stream it. Yeah.
Somebody streamed it. So at that point, the star of the show was the streamer. You know what I mean? So you kept coming back for the streamer, not necessarily the game. Where now,
hey, you made.
Yeah. Say it again. I think you cut out.
Oh, sorry, you made it. Like, yeah, I was just watching the level.
Yeah, you see the scenario is different. So like, I'm not running. Now I'm trying to, you know, get the key and then go through the other door without the boulders getting me, right? And so I gotta like figure that out and watch what colors I change it to, because if I change it like right here, if I change to orange, which I just did, it brings the thing down even though I got rid of that, right? But as long as I don't change to the purple, like I don't have to worry about the boulders going down again. So is that's the scenario, right? And yeah, it's a cool game. But yeah, I think I technically did not transition correct last time because I was looking at it like, why did I say Google? I wasn't supposed to say Google yet. I was supposed to transition from the Bungie game with Destiny to Halo because Halo would make more sense to transition to talk about Halo 2's 20K challenge. And I don't think you mentioned this, but I think Moist Critical is the one who was providing the money. But yeah, you know anything else about this? You want to talk about this real quick? The 20K challenge?
Yeah. So it definitely is critical. Basically, if if you're up for the challenge to play Halo 2 and beat it on the hardest difficulty without dying, you will win $20,000. So Critical's already raised that money, just sitting ready to go. Apparently, this is a feat no one has completed yet.
In so many years.
So if you feel like you could be that person with all of your years of experience with shooters now and the Halo franchise, go and beat it on the hardest difficulty, no deaths. And you can get $20,000. That's a nice payday. That's a nice payday for, like, you know, what seems like it's going to be a lot of stress. But that's a nice payday. Like, go ahead.
Hey man, should I take the challenge, man? I was gonna stream Halo 2 just for some fun, just on the channel. Should I take the challenge?
Halo 2.
I wasn't gonna do the hardest difficulty. I gotta do the hardest difficulty. I saw his vid too. I saw him explaining it. I forgot it was like all of the skulls except for one of them, I believe, something like that. And I was just like, well, I don't know. I just wanted to play the game and have some fun with it on stream just for the channel because I and getting used to streaming. Period. You know, just because. But I don't know. Maybe I should take the challenge, man. I could use 20 grand. You could pay off some, like the average person. You could pay off some debt with 20 grand. You could at least cut it down into a half or a third wherever you at with it, or you could buy a whole new car. It's like
it'll avoid the therapy you need for going through this.
Yeah, man. You could buy. You got. You know, it's probably it'll take care of your gas for at least 3 months. So
as long as you don't go too far. If you don't go too far, like just
I don't know,
3
man.
months.
I tell you what, if I can get 1,000 likes on this video, I'll take the challenge, man. It's got to be exactly 1,000. It can't be 999.
I thought you were gonna say if it's more than 1,000, you also ain't doing it.
Oh yeah, if it's 1,001 or if it's like it's gotta be exactly 1,000. It's like really, nah, man. Exactly one, which might sound impossible, right? But let's see it, man. I'll at least do the stream, and I will at least attempt it on the channel. But here's the challenge, because I think by the time the clip, because I might clip this, I'll give you 1 week from when I clip this to a week after, and it's got to be 1,000 or more, and I will stream it and try my hardest, because I actually have it set up. Like I was gonna just play the game. I literally was just gonna play it as just for fun, to set up stream, because I think I gotta test out some of the Elgato stuff anyway, because it will be on Series X for me, because that's where I have this Master Chief Collection. It's funny though, because I remember Moist Critical said that the original version was actually easier. It's like, oh, I'm already at a disadvantage, but yeah, man.
Got this.
Man. So yeah, they gotta do that. So that will be a fun clip. What if I actually get it? That'd be crazy if I actually get those likes.
That's what's up.
That'll be what's up. I'll actually do it, man. I'll set aside some time to do it and figure it out. I'll attempt it. I'll attempt it in a series of videos. Like, it wouldn't just be one. It would be at least 2 or 3. But that's it. It got to be at least 1,000 though. So, and you got 1 week from when I release the clip. Yeah.
All
right. Yeah. So I'll move on from that. Would you take this challenge, sir?
The 20,000.
Yes.
I'll try. I can try. I know I ain't gonna be able to do it. Like, but I can try. I'm horrible at first person shooters, but I'm willing to try.
You're willing to try? That's what's
I'll be willing.
We gotta see. They gotta see us get this money, man. They gotta be like, what if, like, I wonder what he would do. Is it the first person that beats it? Is it because I was about to say, like, what if all of a sudden like 5 people beat it and then?
Oh yeah, no, it's the first person.
It's just the first one. Okay.
Yep.
So what's going on with Bungie though, man? Why they make the game so hard? Like, you can't do it. Oh man, like, it's impossible.
Well, I think some people have gotten through it. Yeah. I think the key thing here is that you can't die.
Yeah.
You have to get through the whole thing without dying, and I think that's what people.
That's the part that's hard. Yeah. Because I admit, even when I was playing Halo and stuff, when anybody plays Halo, you die all the time. Call of Duty, any of it, you die all the time.
I will also say though, it's probably not also like, it's not hard, like difficulty. It's like nightmare, like one of those like crazy, like
it's like the hardest.
Difficult. You got to do everything perfect, or you're not gonna make it. Like one of those.
Yeah. Well, as you can see on the screen, I just wanted to mention real quick, like, I'm in a scenario now where I'm not in a life-threatening area. I'm just trying to beat the puzzle, and get the key, and then get the key to go to the door. So that will be the difference with Hugh. But yeah, so yeah, 20K. I wish I could do it, man. Hopefully, I ain't got nowhere near as much experience as like the person doing it on PC, because at the very least, the mouse and keyboard people are the ones who's going to have the most advantage, right? That's the way it seemed, because you just point and click. But yeah, we'll see. Other than that, I do want to talk about real quick the stuff going on with Ubisoft. What's happening with Ubisoft, man?
Ooh, so Ubisoft has delayed Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, the game that I don't think anybody's looking forward to. But it was supposed to like kind of release with the movie, which is supposed to apparently come out this year, but it's being pushed to a 2023, 2024 time frame.
Yeah, I see in my thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. I see in my notes here too, also, because I think this is related. Even Assassin's Creed, the next Assassin's Creed, is supposed to be delayed into spring 2023.
Yes. So, yep. Everything's getting pushed back, and they've canceled 4 games that they were working on. 2 were unannounced, so we don't know what they were. That was canceled, and the other 2 was Splinter Cell VR and Ghost Recon Frontline. I know Ghost Recon Frontline people didn't want, because that was like bashed right away. It was supposed to be like a multiplayer shooter, but like they couldn't get the multiplayer shooting part in their main Ghost Recon games right. So like everybody bashed it. They canceled that one. Then Splinter Cell VR, which feels a little too late, but like it's fine. That one got canceled. Then 2 unannounced games got canceled, and everything else getting pushed back.
You know what? They put all their resources to the Mario Rabbids game. That's what they did.
Yeah. That's what it is. Mario Rabbids is coming out on time. I think the other issue is that they might be, I know they're a big company. They might be spreading themselves a little too thin. Like, if we look at that, Mario Rabbids, Avatar, the Assassin's Creed, whatever the next game is, and they're trying to do that whole like live service version of it. Splinter Cell VR, Ghost Recon Frontline, 2 unannounced games, and who knows what else.
Yeah, right. That's like a machine.
Games are more on the So it's probably they're probably like, and I always like compare these, even though I know it's much smaller. I
Yeah.
compare it to like oh shoot, Sucker Punch, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
Sucker Punch was one game.
Right.
They release that game in full, and then they move on to the next game. Versus having like 8 or 9 games on the docket and everything being working on. Yeah, some things are gonna end up getting canceled.
Yeah, but I think isn't Ubisoft they're a publisher too though, right? So they're
Yeah,
publishing a lot from across the board under
keeping
their
their older
umbrella.
games still. They have to keep their older games running, functioning too, as well. So they might be just spreading themselves a little too thin. They need to cancel some stuff to like focus, especially because they want this Assassin's Creed stuff to be the biggest thing in the world, right?
Right, right.
Uh, they want the Avatar game done correctly. You know they got to release this Mario Rabbids game correct. I feel like yeah, they're they're spreading themselves a little too thin. They need to, which is fine. It
It's
sucks. There's some
Ubisoft
things.
though, so they'll figure it out. I
Yeah,
don't see them just like crawling into a ball and just crying. Like they'll figure it out. I think they'll be alright.
it sucks that
Um,
things have to be canceled instead of just everything just like on some delay stuff. Like we'll get to it when we get to it.
yeah.
So it sucks that it's like yeah, not this, but yeah,
If their canceled games seem like they were too similar to other games, they might end up just being DLCs in games that's already existing too.
true,
Like I
true.
wouldn't count it completely out. At least the idea will still be there in other ways. It's just the
Yeah,
name of the game and probably like a really crappy character or something here and there. That's probably canceled. But at least they still
yeah.
have their idea. Their idea would probably still be there. So I'm gonna be optimistic about it. I don't want to crap on them for anything. I think because it's still Ubisoft. Like they're big. So
Uh,
I think they'll be. I think they'll be okay in the long run.
yeah, sure.
I will say though, that leads me into my next topic of a game that's been going for a while, and they're trying to protect their brand, and that is Minecraft. Have you heard about Minecraft? What's been going on with Minecraft, man?
That's me if I know what Minecraft is. Like, yeah, no, I have not heard what's going on.
So with Minecraft, they have you're gonna like this one. They banned NFTs because they want to
Ah,
keep their game safe, is what they say, remain safe,
beautiful,
or like
beautiful,
basically beautiful. They want to like preserve the art form of Minecraft, and so they don't want anybody trying to make NFTs within Minecraft. So that's the thing.
beautiful.
That's beautiful.
That is lovely. That is lovely. Like, good job on them. I don't even play Minecraft, and now it's like, all right, how do I go support?
How
Because
you
like
go
that
support?
is
Go buy dungeons or go buy one of them. Yeah. So
beautiful.
they not having any of that over there. I mean, Minecraft is one of those platforms too. They don't even need it. It's like they're not
Nope.
hurting in any way. So they see what's up and they know what's up, and they're like, I guess they're looking at it in the long run because the NFT thing has such a bad name that they don't want to jeopardize the name of Minecraft in any way. So they're just like, no, we don't have no part of it. So yeah, that's the thing right now. So Minecraft is saying no,
Good.
and
You know who else is saying no? I want to tie this story in. You know who
yes,
else is saying no?
who?
So, Brazil has their own version of E3. It's called Big, BIG, right?
Okay,
And this one guy, Mark Venturelli, he was one of the event organizers, and he was holding a conference talk. He's a game dev, and he was going to
okay.
hold a conference talk about the future of gaming. So then everybody came in, they sat down, they were ready for the talk about future of gaming, and then he gets up on stage and was like, "Psych, no, this talk is going to be why NFTs are a nightmare." And about the negative aspects of
I think I heard
blockchain,
this.
just bashed NFTs. And despite just like psych, no, this is the real topic. He
Yeah,
was met with applause. People agreed. The conference people aren't bad. He said they're not the enemies. Like he just like from the switch, they kind of like uh he has a good relationship with Big, and the organizers were made aware that that's what he was going to talk about. So clearly, they also agreed with like, yeah, get them all comfortable before bashing NFTs. Go ahead. So all of them agree that these things need to stay away from video games completely. So applause all around.
Yeah, that's good. And I think Minecraft, I do think they're making the right decision because they do have something that's just ongoing, and every time they do something different with it, the audience is there and they're going to eat it up no matter what. So they don't need it. They don't need it. And for anybody else who has a real platform, you don't need it either. You should be able to put out a quality product and people will support the quality product. It's just that simple. So yeah, I applaud Minecraft for this. Wholeheartedly,
I
yes.
applaud Mark, this game dev. Like he got a standing ovation from his talk. So, and I think he opened with saying like, if I named it NFT or Nightmares, they wouldn't let me do the talk. So sorry, I had to lie to you. So that's why some people thought the organizers were mad. And he was like, no, they knew. Like I think he just said that as like a nice little opening thing. So he's like clarifying, like, we're all good. The organizers are good. Everybody hates NFTs.
Yeah, so that's good. But I guess we gotta jump from that to another topic that I think is your topic, and it's still related to NFTs. But I have here that the future of games is NFTs, and something about the gift coin. I think that might be related to that. So we can talk about that too.
So Mark went ahead and was like, nah, NFTs are bad. They need to stay away from games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Giftcoin doesn't get that idea. So Giftcoin is a crypto platform for money. And the idea is you put in real money to buy a gift card. And you can buy a gift card to different places. Like, for example, and I saw the example that was like fully explaining it, so I'll use theirs.
Yeah.
Starbucks gift card. You buy a Starbucks gift card and you buy, let's say, $10 on it. So you pay $10, but then you link it to a very specific cryptocurrency. So however well that cryptocurrency is doing, mind you, all crypto is crashing, but what they keep saying is if the crypto is doing really well and like the stocks pretty much are like the monetary value goes up for the crypto that day, then the money amount on the card also goes up. So you may have bought a $10 gift card and then boom, now there's $100 on there when they use it at Starbucks. Based off of just how well crypto's doing. But then what they didn't want to explain, and it does happen for the other way, if crypto is crashing and you put $50 on a gift card and it's doing really bad, when you go to use it, it's going to be like, psych, you got $3 on here. Because crypto's doing bad that day. So you have to be lucked out. Like, can you imagine taking everybody to a restaurant like, no worries, I'll pay, and everything is the last time you checked.
And you get embarrassed. Yeah.
$100 on a crypto card. You go to use it, they're like, sir, there's $2 on here.
Yeah, nah, fam, not me. The crypto thing is so crazy too.
Not a fixed dollar amount. How do you buy a gift card without a fixed dollar amount? Like, you're just like, I'm gonna buy this, and the amount that's on there is up in the air. Go crypto. Like, excuse me?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I couldn't imagine you trying to flex. I'm gonna take out all my friends and then your junk just decline. Like,
yep.
I couldn't imagine. No sir. Nope. Well,
yeah, you also get like some cash back. They do the 1 to 3% cash back on there, and like, yeah, it's just saying that if value goes up, then the amount of money on there also goes up over time, and it's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that at all.
Another thing too, though, because I still have here that we were saying it was that they're trying to tell you it's the future of gaming. The only thing about that is that the future about it is just they're just trying to find ways to make money off of you. That's what the future is them attempting to make as much money off of you as they can without giving you a quality product. That's the thing I don't like. Because it's like, you'll make a lot of money if it's a quality product. You know what I'm saying? Like, as much as I can't understand it, even though I'm sort of dived into it a little bit, like to a Pokemon fan, Pokemon is a quality product. So you could just
Yeah.
print them. You print them every year. It seems like they're coming out twice a year sometime, right? It's like for them, it's a quality product. Me, on the other hand, is like I still think it's quality in its time. It's like I need to play one like every other year. I don't need to play. I don't need to play like five of them in a row. That's just how I look at it.
Right.
But it's a
But
quality
I mean,
product to them.
like Call of Duty when they were releasing one every year, or 2K, like
That's what I
NBA
was
or
gonna
any of
say next. Yeah,
yeah,
Call of
it's
Duty.
quality for them and everything. So they want to do whatever. For me, it's not. So I can wait a few years
But the
for it.
NFT
But,
thing,
oh,
we're going through the list. It sound like it's not a quality product for nobody. It sound like the only person it's a quality product for is the one that's convinced that it's going to make money in the long run when they
yeah,
resell it to somebody else. It's like, well, that's not a
yeah,
product though. That's not really something that people find valuable, you know?
no,
So how is it quality? Is just it's kind of crazy when you see that. And the companies, here's the bad part too, like for the companies that keep trying to push this, it tells you as a fan that they want to do the least for you and they
uh
want
huh,
the most out of you. That's what you're hearing. So it's like it
yep,
makes the companies look bad. I don't know if they realize that, but there's a behavioral thing there. Like you can tell the attitude of a company in a way by looking at them and how they treat the whole NFT thing and how they're trying to present it to you and stuff. It's that's a bad thing for them. So it'll be the future of games for me as far as who I weed out, because that's what's
mhm,
gonna happen. I'm gonna just weed them out. Like, okay, this is what you're doing, and you're gone.
yep.
Goodbye.
That's
Or
how I feel.
wait for a sale or get it used. That's how I would weed it out. You know, but I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about a whole bunch of other stuff either because it's like for me at the end of the day, all I gotta do is just not buy it.
Uh
From
huh.
day one, I had no intentions on buying an NFT in a video game. From day
Nope.
one, they can huff and puff about it as much as they want and say all this stuff. I had never had any intentions, so I ain't worried about it. But I do say it's a little. It does make you side eye the companies, and the companies need to understand like if all of a sudden I don't want to buy your product anymore because you're doing NFTs and I would have bought your product before if you wasn't doing it, that's more of a problem for you than
Yeah,
anything. So don't
because no
lose the
one's
money.
are doing NFTs. That's the issue.
Yeah.
It's either people are going to ignore it, some people are going to get it, and now they're going to weirdly participate in it, or more likely, people are just not going to get it.
Yeah, the main thing for me is like don't lose the money you were going to get, basically trying to convince me to pay for something that's not real. Like
Right.
cuz
I
how I
agree.
look at it in the future is like, well, now I know who not to support. That's the future. Is I know exactly who to weed out. So yeah, the opposite is happening. I don't think I'm the only one that thinks this way. Because the second you say NFT now, I mean the place just erupts. Like people are not feeling it at all. Like at
No.
all, at all. Like I don't have to see nothing positive come from the
No.
NFT conversation in gaming. Period. Like the people who's
No.
just doing it, they're in their own little worlds with like the ape and stuff, and like
Uh-huh.
it's gotten to the point where the rest of us is not really bothering them and they're not bothering us. Like they're now in their
Yep.
niche, and I think that's fine for them. But like it's intrusive when you see it in video games. It's very intrusive. It's
Yeah.
very
And the people
uninviting.
mad, and they're just like, "Why are you so mad at NFTs? Like, it's just the game. Just don't participate in that." Here's my issue, and when I always complain about why I wanted to stay away from games,
Yeah.
it's because they're taking resources that will go to make a game good. And let's be honest, games are just coming out broken, right? Like
Yeah.
games are
Yeah.
coming out broken, and they're taking the resources that could have helped fix it to make it good, or to add a new thing to the game, and those resources are now focusing on an NFT market. And it's just like, no, that doesn't need to be a part of it. Like, that doesn't need to be a part of it at all. And it's this removal of resources for games that can't even come out working for something so stupid and just get rich quick schemes. Like, it needs to stay out of the gaming. You got your Bored Ape thing, y'all doing your thing, keep it, do your thing. But like when you start intruding it into other things and go, well, what's the problem? That's the problem. It's intrusive.
Yeah. So I'm still rolling with what I was saying from the get go. I'm never gonna buy one. You know what's funny too is like you gotta to get somebody to do that, you gotta like you still gotta set up your crypto wallet and do all of that stuff. Like the average person in the gaming space just wants to play a game. You know,
that's it.
Like they're not even worried about all of that. Like you making it harder for them, so it's working against them. So yeah, not me, not I, not I. Another thing, I guess we could move on from that. I don't think this isn't really related, but if we want to talk about companies that's losing some money over doing things that they probably shouldn't have done. I don't even know if that's the right way to transition, but this won't get clipped anyway. It's just something I wanted to mention here. Netflix from April to June have lost over 1 million subs. And this is not the same subs that they lost before. This is more subs. So initially it was only 200K. Now it's an additional 1 million. Like 1 million. And it's funny because I think this is going to go in our next topic because I didn't really write it down here, but we could probably speak on Resident Evil for a second because I've watched a couple more episodes, but not that many. But it's like in spite of them having, you know, shows that people might still want to see, for whoever haven't seen Squid Game yet, or for me, I'm watching Resident Evil technically, even though it's badly reviewed and I can understand. Netflix is getting hit. They are getting hit hard. And
it's on them.
It came back to probably like the initial 200K you could argue was because of the password thing. I know some of that is still what's going on here, but at the same time, it's like, what else could make them just leave in droves like that? That's a lot for that. That's because we're still talking like 2.5 months, 3 months. That's a lot. April, May, and June for the most part. That's 1 million. Now, if they're in that type of decline, this is being recorded towards the end of July. You know what I'm saying? So are they actively losing another 300,000? How many do they have altogether? Like,
so honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a quick bump at the first week of July and then quickly fell back off. Because of the people who just wanted to see all of Stranger Things real quick. And then drop it again. So their issue is, one, they keep increasing the price. They're trying to do the whole, don't share. Even though when they first came out, they were always constantly like, love is sharing your Netflix password. And now they're just like, if you're sharing, we're going to like charge you more. They're advertising that they're going to be adding ads to Netflix, which that was its big thing. No ads.
Hear that,
so they're making poor decisions, and then when they're releasing, I guess not quality stuff, like they're more quantity over quality. With a lot of their stuff. Now you could argue there's something for everybody on there, probably for Netflix, but like, I think the issue is they're just kind of like, we have a name, we release all these shows, go pay us money, and there's too many competitors now, where it's like HBO Max is getting like the best shows. If you're into like South Park and some of these other stuff, you got Paramount Plus, Amazon killing it along with The Boys. And I mean, if you got Amazon Prime, like you're getting your delivery stuff, so you're getting the service anyways. Hulu got all the popular TV shows that you like want to watch. there's too many like side competitors, and then it's also getting to the point the market's so flooded that you're like, well, I'm gonna just go back to download, like because there's too many of like
Yeah.
this one has this and this one has this and this one has this, so you can just go back to downloading because it's now it used to be convenient, but now it's inconvenient. You're like, well, I might as well just have cable because I'm paying more than cable prices for the streaming service, where before people were cutting cable just for the streaming services. And it's like they're doing that along, or if you're going to keep a few, right? If you're not on Netflix like repeatedly and you're only watching it for the hot stuff, for that once a month, why pay 15 a month when the other ones, like for the same amount of price for HBO, you get like HBO level and fresh like theater movie quality stuff, or you could pay like $6 and you get Hulu. Right? Like, and especially if Netflix is about to be like ads, $15 for like Netflix with ads versus like 10 to I think $12 for Hulu without ads.
Yeah, I think when things were a little bit more consolidated, it was more convenient too. But now that
Yeah.
everybody's trying to have their own, like, I almost said launcher, but everybody wanted to have their own app. It's like, well, now it's not convenient because I got to have all these apps, and I got to also. There's also the part where you got to have all the sign-ins and passwords and set up your auto drafts with everybody too, and you don't want to do all of that. Every time you sign up for an auto draft, you're thinking about how much is taking it out of your money compared to everything else you got going on. And when
Yep.
it's mostly like all stuff that's for just TV and stuff, it's like, well, that sounds like a waste. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like you really want to see this show, and then when you see it, it's not that good. Like how everybody's saying about Resident Evil, it's like, well, I
We'll
gotta
talk
pay
about that.
money
And
for
I think,
this.
yeah, and I think
Yeah,
that's the issue. It's the best quality, like what some people are doing with the streaming, right? It's just unfortunately you just need friends,
yeah,
and then each of you is responsible for one of them, and then everybody gets like part of it. But if you're gonna start like charging people, like, oh, we noticed like the IP at two separate houses at the same time, therefore we're gonna charge you more. Well, then you out of here, like
yeah.
you the loser. Like we don't need you. We got the other one, and I think that's the issue.
Plus, there's
Where
still
before,
all these other ways around it because remember, like everybody with their Patreons, they're capitalizing off this stuff. Like now, people would just like when they don't care that much. There's a lot of shows that goes on where people literally don't care. They only care because everybody else care. So when they
yep,
show up on the Patreons and everybody's streaming, watching it together, I mean, only one person paid for it, and then everybody else is paying them capital just to be in the Patreon. You know, we
which then
talked.
the money, so they're not losing any money getting this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, we talked about the people flipping the content in a way, because that's a thing on Patreon that I don't even know if it's even possible for them to address. Because then you have to pay into the Patreon just to get the proof. So,
Yep.
and then it's per person, and there's so many channels and so many genres and niches, and everybody's doing that type of stuff. So I feel like if they had left the password thing alone, they wouldn't have been in this mess. But the issue is that they probably wasn't making as much as they thought they could make, and then people just want free stuff anyway. So they was only
Yeah.
in there just to try to be free, you know. So
Uh,
hey, it is what it is. 1 million though in like three something months is a lot. Like I don't know how many they have total, but that's a lot. Like back when the WWE had their network, like wasn't it mostly just 1 million and some change? Like if they lost that, and they wouldn't have even been able to like combine with Peacock if it wasn't for the little 1 million they had. So
yeah.
yeah, I guess if we talk about Resident Evil, the most that I would say is I saw episode 2 and 3. I could have went further, but I didn't go further than that. Say it again.
So, do you know my little? Because remember, I said something was spoiled for me for the first episode.
Yeah, you could talk about that part at least.
Okay, so I'll just say it. I don't know if you want to hear this spoiler, which I mean, it's the most obvious thing in the world because they're very like this part of the storytelling is very generic.
Yeah.
I guess skip ahead a minute. So Billy's still alive in the future.
Right.
Right? Like very, very generic. Obviously, she's not actually about to die in this like little past timeline.
Right.
Here's why it was spoiled for me. In the first episode, whenever they were in the future, it referred to what's her name as Jade. And when it was in the past, she was referred to as young Jade in the subtitles. And when I was looking at the subtitles because I missed a line, Billy was referred to as young Billy, which by that logic means there needs to be an old Billy. So I knew Billy was alive.
Yeah, that's a good eye too. Billy. It's funny.
So that's what I saw, and I was like, oh, okay. So then when they did the big reveal, like, it's her. One, even if they didn't do that, it was very clearly that's where they were going. Like, it was a very obvious. I'm not going to say it's necessarily bad. Sometimes the common thing is the story that needs to be told. But it was a very obvious storytelling mechanic. And then that also told me in episode 1, I was like, I'm not worried about anything that happens to her, even when she was bitten by the dog on the side. And it kept saying young Billy, and the episode ends with her looking like she's bleeding out and dead. I'm like, she's not dead. Because she was just named young Billy. So that was that.
Yeah.
But this show, I watched the whole thing. And
so you seen the whole thing. Well, I mean, just without spoiling, I would just say, question basically, you can answer it in one word. Is it good or bad?
Bad. So here's what makes it bad. And without spoiling anything, here's the thing. So the video games, let's be honest, they're ridiculous. With some of a lot of the stuff that goes on, they're ridiculous.
Right.
I think the ridiculousness does not translate well as a series. Like, it translates okay when you're gaming and everything, but some of the stuff they're doing doesn't necessarily, I guess, translate well. And by translate well, I mean they could be ridiculous. Like, you could do a bunch of different concepts all over the place. It's trying to shove all of them together so you can't really flesh anything out. Yeah. That makes it weird. Like, there's like major sci-fi reveals in this show that is just brushed over like because you just take it and it's like, well, no, like, flesh it out. And I think my other issue is, I know some people hate this. I don't mind the back and forth timeline thing. Arrow did it, and some people refused to watch Arrow or hated Arrow, the TV series, because of that. I don't mind it. I like that form of storytelling. I like a thing happens in the future and then the past explains it. The other issue is that this one, a lot of the past stuff does not feel like it foreshadows anything for the future or explains anything in the future. It just feels like two separate stories, right? It doesn't feel like one's really connected to the other. Like, I feel like you can follow along everything that's happening in the future part of Resident Evil without seeing any of the past, and you can like follow along with everything in the past, and there's no clear indication of how it led to the future part. So I feel like they're just way too disconnected. They're doing the ridiculous stuff, but then also when something like really massive happens in the future part, it then cuts to the past for like 38 minutes. Like, that's the problem. And it does the same thing with the past. It starts building this past story, and it's just going and going, and it takes a while. But like, if you force yourself to start kind of really getting into what just happened for the past part, and you're digging it, and then it starts picking up, and you're like, oh man, then it just cuts back to the future part on some boring stuff, and it's like, stop switching. Like, when the thing is starting to get good.
The recording is probably all over the place for this too. Because I'm pretty sure they record a lot of it in bulk. Like, I remember hearing like from Power Rangers, they did what Jason would say was this is Command Center Day. And I remember I was like, what do you mean Command Center Day? But apparently, like, they used to record like them being in the Command Center in bulk for like a lot of episodes at one time. Like,
which, if you think about it, movie-wise, that actually makes sense, right? Because so that Command Center building wasn't their whole prop. Like, the outside area and everything was. There's an actual place in California that I do plan on visiting at one point. Yeah, is that building. So if you're gonna film all of that, you can't keep going inside and spending like hours redesigning everything, or like if you're like heavily costumed. They're heavily maked up. Like Stranger Things, villain Vecna.
Mm-hmm.
For the current season, if you're heavily maked up for that, you're not gonna do that scene and then go unmake up to go do the regular scene and then go full makeup again. You're gonna get all of your makeup stuff done because you have to sit in that chair for hours to get the prosthetics and makeup on you. So you just cut all of that together. I actually, when I was doing like some filming stuff, that's how we would do it. I would just certain scenes where I knew everybody needed to be in it. I
Yeah.
would cut those in bulk, and then I would do individual scenes later on for people, so we didn't have to like worry about timing and people just kind of sitting there waiting for their turn to record their individual thing.
There was a
Uh,
moment with like 50 Cent, the rapper, who I guess he had a lot of tattoos earlier on, and I guess he was getting them removed because of how long it took for them to go through makeup, where they would have to like brush him off and everything
uh,
when he was trying to transition into acting and stuff, and then he was just getting
yep.
them lasered off, like a lot of them, as much as he could.
Sometimes, yeah, tattoos are a hard thing to do for acting, especially because a lot of that stuff is weirdly copyrighted if it's
Yeah.
an individual designed by somebody. So then they have to either pay out these royalties or cover it up with makeup, or if the character's not supposed to have tattoos, like for their role, right? Like if
Right.
somebody's like, because they look young, so they're portraying, let's say, like a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old in some TV series, but they're actually like 22 years old. Like, if they're all tatted up, that gotta go because you're not gonna have a full sleeved, typical teenaged kid in high school. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think what was I gonna say? I don't know. Lost my train of thought. That's
Yeah,
what
so
happens
Resident
recording.
Evil, will say, yeah, the Resident Evil series, it's not great. Lance Riddick carries, as we said last week from just that first episode, but
Dude
Lance
carries
Riddick
the
really
whole thing, bro. He
carried the
carries
whole
it.
thing.
Carry it. Like,
Yep. And there's like little moments in there where it's like, that was stupid. And they're like, why'd they do that? And I think certain like the ways certain people act on there, you tend to not care about them
yeah.
as much as the series wants you to. Um so that because of that, it's just like, but yeah, they'll be like, there was a whole major like like I said, sci-fi reveal that I won't spoil, but it was like a major thing that could like honestly, this first season could have been solely about the past, like that current time with the two younger kids,
Mm-hmm.
and really flesh that stuff out. And then season two, because they want to do like the dude that's making it did Supernatural,
Yeah.
which I was a big fan of, but because of that, he's like, I want to do 16 seasons for some reason. But like, they could have done the future stuff for the second season and really fleshed it out. Then it keep going back and forth. So it's like, uh, or like do 4 full episodes of the past, 4 full episodes, or do a full episode like back and forth if you really want to do the back and forth timeline. But like really, you could have fleshed out certain ideas that were just glossed over, and it's just like, yeah, that's not a thing anymore. And it's just like and it's not even like a not a thing. We're gonna set it up later. It was
Right.
just like not a thing. We'll just mention it, and then you're just like, all right, moving on. And it's like, no, talk about that more because I know you're not gonna bring it back up.
Yeah. Well,
So,
there goes
yeah.
another series because they got all the feedback that they want in real time. Like everybody crapped on it.
Uh-huh.
But like I said plenty of times before, though, if you're a Resident Evil fan, man, don't worry about the shows. You already knew the shows was gonna be like that. You got plenty of the games, though. Like that's what matters. Is you got plenty of the games. For Resident Evil. That's the most I can say on that. I think some of these other topics here can probably go a little bit quicker. There's a couple things I want to talk about. I could probably just literally say it and we move on. Because one of them is Killzone Shadowfall. I was just going to mention this is more of a newsworthy thing, but Killzone is supposed to lose its online server August
Oh,
12th, 2022. So Sony
oh,
is pulling the plug on that. However, if you still own the game, you'll still be able to play the base game just like any other game. You're just
that's
not
good.
going to be able to play online. But there is still an audience here for Killzone, so I don't know how many people might be against this. I know when this first launched, like people didn't like the game. It wasn't
Uh
like
huh.
the PS3 versions of the game. They didn't like it at launch, but I think over time there's a small audience there that still like this game, and I guess Sony's pulling the plug on them. So yeah, that's going to go. That's I don't know. That's all I had to mention on that. Does you care? Do you care? I'm
I mean,
okay.
it's always sad to see a game officially like I guess, die in a way.
Yeah,
And be done, but like as long as people could still like play the base game for
yeah,
it, I think that's good. And then if those resources, if it's not just like, well, we're killing this, and then like those people who were making sure it ran are now fired. Like if those resources go to helping something else, then I'm okay with it.
it's funny because this is not one of them games that they trying to do any kind of director's cut or nothing. They just like, nah, we just killing it. Like it ain't getting. It's just that's it. Like it must not be as good as the others. It's like it's just gone. Like I can see if they like ported something over, blah blah blah. No, it's gone. It's gone. So you get to play the single player at least. That's what matters. Another thing that I was going to mention, which I don't know how much traction this needs because it's still classic PlayStation here, but Persona 5 Royal, if you already had the PS4 version or if you had a PS Plus version and you want a PS5 version, you've got to pay for the upgrade. So that's the thing. So, you know,
So, but I thought it was not like pay for the upgrade is and pay that extra 10, or do you have to buy it in full?
I believe it's going to be 10. We might want to look this up because I didn't look into how much the upgrade costs. It was just it's not
Right.
like the whole smart delivery thing, right? So
Yeah.
you do
So
have to pay something.
I'm not a fan of it, but I'm not upset with it, if that makes sense. Uh like I get it. It's like, I don't think the game should be at 70 anyways. That's my biggest issue. But I do
Yeah,
feel like you're like, the $70 one is the one with the higher graphics. So if you're gonna buy the $60 one to play it, then you want those higher graphics, then you gotta pay that extra 10. I understand that business model, even though I'm not the biggest fan. It's the if you want to play it on this system, well, you're gonna have to rebuy the entire thing, even though both of them just run and it's a patch update, right? Where it's like I'd
yeah.
rather than to tell me to go buy a $70 game because you don't want to upgrade the $60 one. That I don't like.
Here's the thing. So I still have Persona 5 Royal installed, and I'm still technically still in it. I just kind of put it down after the first like once you go past the gym guy. But
Uh huh.
overall, though, when I think about it, like I'm not taking away from the whole like upgrade thing. I don't like the upgrades. Period. I think that if you bought the system is the upgrade. But at the same time, I'm also trying to understand like what is the upgrade for Persona 5. Like no
True.
disrespect to Persona 5, but it's like when you say like it's better graphics, it's like what better graphics? It's like it's about as good as it was gonna get, right? Like it kind of just looked like it because it was also on PS3 at one point too, right? Persona 5, at least not Royal, but Persona 5 was on PS3 at
Oh,
one
that I
point.
did not know. I thought it was PS4. Okay.
Yeah, the not Royal though. Royal is all
Yeah, Royal.
Persona. That's
Yeah.
all PS4. But like, it's just when I think about graphics, or it's still a turn-based game where you're not really hacking and slashing all over the place like crazy. So it's like when you talk about the 60 frame thing, like yeah, you want it to be at 60 frames, but just like, are you seeing it in Persona? Like I don't feel like you like me on you already know me is like I already bought it. Like I just want to play I'm gonna be playing the
Right.
PS4 version because that's what I bought. But I don't
I
feel like I'm
got you.
missing out. What am I missing out on? Like that's what I'm trying to figure out. What am I missing out? Like unless it's like maybe the haptic feedback, maybe it still had its own rumble. There was moments I
Huh.
remember it was still rumbling like crazy, but Like I don't know where the upgrade is here. Like I don't
Okay.
see what the value is in the upgrade period to begin with. I don't know. I might be missing something. I know there was a small little pushback on that, but at the end of the day, PlayStation is gonna continue to do that. But at the
PlayStation's gonna
very
play.
least, all I got to say about it is not that many titles left. Like let them do their little upgrades. You don't have to pay for them. Like you got a new system for new games. You know what I mean? Like you play
Uh-huh.
the old games the old way in a way. Like I don't know, it's not all of them need an upgrade either. Persona 5 is one of those weird ones where it's just like I really don't know what the upgrade would be. Like I don't know it.
To be
Maybe
honest, most of the time I didn't even want like an upgrade. I just wanted the disc to be able to run on the newer system. Not
yeah,
like an
and it
upgrade. I just needed to run. That's
yeah
all. That's what I've like a lot of these games where I'd be like wanting like so when I kept saying I wanted the Sly Cooper like remaster like to be made so like I could play it on the PS5. Even if it was just they didn't do anything with the game. I just want to be able to play it on the
yeah
current system out of convenience. That's all.
yeah. With Persona 5 though, Persona 5 Royal, I think you good. If you've beaten it already, you got the experience, and even if you haven't, like you should be good with the PS4 version. It's still a good game for what it is. I just don't see
Uh-huh.
what the upgrade would do for that type of game because it's still, largely turn based. When he's walking around in like the neighborhood or the schools and stuff, it's like you're not doing much. You're just kind of walking along. You're listening to other people talk, that kind of thing. It's not. I don't know. It,
Right.
I don't know. So I wouldn't. I would just say,
Save your
don't.
money.
Yeah, save your money. Save your money on this. Save your money on this. If you haven't played it already, put it towards Persona 4 Golden, Persona Portable.
Uh-huh.
When they bring those over, I would. That's where I would put the money at. I want to play. I want to play the other ones on the Steam Deck when I get a Steam Deck. But yeah, I'm not paying for this upgrade. I'm playing it with exactly what I got, and I'm cool with it. So that's me on that. Also, so we have the 13 TMNT game, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I think this was your topic. So it's going on Steam, right? Then that's
Yeah,
what
the
we're saying.
Cowabunga
The
collection
Cowabunga collection, yeah.
comes
So
out the end of August.
yeah, what's funny about that? I know for a fact I got all of those games in ROMs beforehand. I
Yep.
know for a
Okay,
fact I
it's
do
just
because I went straight
nothing
for them.
It is nothing remastered, anything like that. It's just 13 classic TMNT games in a giant collection pack coming to Steam August 30th. So if you don't have ROMs and you want to buy them because the last Shredder's Revenge got you like hyped back up for all of them, there's the games.
Yeah, Shredder's Revenge was kind of short, but when you think about it, like if you talk about 13 more games, like they're all kind of doing some, similar kind of thing and everything. Like
Uh-huh.
like when you put it all together, now you got all the beat 'em up like fun you need. Like when you
Yeah.
put you got a long game when you put them all together.
Yep.
And blast from the past. So yeah, have at it for whoever. It did seem like with Turtles Revenge was kind of chaotic. Cause I think you could have not only all the turtles, right, but then also April and
And
the
Shredder and Splinter.
up to 6 people. I think it's just
Yep.
it
So you
was
can
a
do four
little
Turtles,
chaotic.
Casey, and April, or have Splinter out there.
Yeah, it's a mess on your screen, but if you can keep up with it without crossing your eyes, I think you'll be all right.
Oh yeah, but I think that's part of the fun of it to have that chaos on the screen.
I just know when I was seeing the footage when you had that many players going, it's like if you've seen any stream footage, just like not only is it chaos on the screen, it's chaos in the party chat, and it's just like you don't know who's what where doing anything. If you really focused on somebody, you can see they just button mashing in a certain area. Whoever gets hit gets hit. That's how it devolves into.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, so moving on from that, I think that's good. I guess we could real quick you could tell us about the confusion that you had with the I almost said multiverse of madness, but not multiverse of madness, but
Yeah.
multiverses, not multiverse of madness. Multiverses though. So what's happening with
So,
that?
Multiverses, the Warner Bros. Smash game,
Yeah.
that's coming out. So it's it looks fun and everything, but the issue was is I first originally heard it was free. So I was checking out the other day while I was looking through the PlayStation Store and I was going to put it on my wish list, and I saw that it had a price tag attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, yeah, something like $29.99 for the Founders Pack, and then like 39, I think, or something like that for like the deluxe, and then like 69 or something like that for the premium. And I'm like, well, hold on, I thought this game was free. So I had to like look into it to make sure. It
Mm-hmm.
turns out, so right now, if you want early access for the game to be able to play during the beta test, and you get some extra like, virtual goodies like some the loot box stuff, or like the, pay for things stuff, and like things like that, you can buy one of these packs and that gives you like the early access if you want to. So looking at it, so if you can wait, the game is free. But if for whatever reason you want to pay to be a beta tester, you can pay into it now. It's so weird that they're making you pay to be a beta tester. Uh, so you pay if you want to like experience the game and tell them what's broken and what's not. But if you want the fixed version, you just gotta wait and then it's free.
I
And I
see.
remember this reminded me of years ago during one of the Christmases when Fortnite was extra hot. Like, it's not always like the topic, but like when it was extra hot. And I remember there was like posts online and people in stores constantly letting parents and grandparents know, hey, Fortnite is free. So if you walk into Walmart and you're trying to buy the game case for Fortnite, all that's in there is cosmetic stuff. Do not get tricked into buying something for Christmas because it is digital, it is cosmetic, the game is 100% free, and your kid could be playing it right now. Like, and they're just warning everybody. And I saw some people, like, I saw a person go, oh, it's free, and put it back to go grab something else instead. Because all they know is their kid said that they liked Fortnite, so they went, oh, I'm going to go ahead and get them the Fortnite game. Not realizing all they were buying was like one of their, like, it was before they started putting like real characters in there. Maybe
Yes.
at the time the most they had was like, I think John Wick was one of the first ones that they put into
Okay.
the game. So it was like people were going out buying it thinking they were buying like this major thing where it was just no, it was just the John Wick skin for the game. And they're like, you don't need to buy that at all. So that's what this makes me think of too. It's just like, oh, you can pay for the game now, and then when it actually does release, no, it's free.
Yeah. You know me, man. If it's a free to play game, I'll play the free to play part, but I ain't about to pay for anything. I'll pay
Nope.
for a game when it's a game,
No,
but yeah.
if it's free to play and the game is like heavily supported, it's not pay to win. The free part is fun, and you can play through the whole thing. Diablo, if you can play through the whole thing without paying, then sometimes to support the developers, I'll buy something like Warframe, for
Yeah.
example. You can play through the whole thing. You can get some cool stuff if you put money into it, but you get cool things in the game without money, and it's full fun without spending a dime in there. So I bought one thing as a way to like, hey, supportive, like things like that. And it's very few times that I do that for. I have to really be feeling it, and just like, here's like $5 or something like that.
Right,
Uh,
right.
and again, it's like this has to be purely like you could get through the whole game. Again, Diablo. You get through the whole game without having to buy anything, and it's purely just that. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna throw a little, and I don't do this for everything, but it's like, yeah, I'll throw in a little bit of support like that.
Right, right, right.
Or sometimes if I know I'm playing something a lot, like a lot, like when I was really in Dead by Daylight, I'm playing it, and I like beat like the whole battle pass part and the free part, and I'm really digging it. I'll put in the money for the premium battle pass for that season because then I'm retroactively unlocking all the stuff that I would have already unlocked if I paid. It's my way of supporting the game, and I played it that much anyways. But then past that, no.
Okay. Well, I think the game is still gonna have some legs in the beginning, but at
Oh,
the
for
end
sure.
of the day, everybody's probably gonna go back to Super Smash Brothers if that's what they really want. But
I agree.
yeah, so I guess that's all we can talk about on that. I will say, it looks like we're running a little long, but that's okay. But it's 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 funny because I'm talking to you about this in real time live. But for anybody who's listening, you don't know this yet, but there was a whole section here that was going to be dedicated to horror. What I want to do though is let's take that and move it to next week because none of those movies are going to come out yet anyway.
Sounds like a plan.
And we're going to cut that out. I do have something here for that you had about boxing. Do you want to talk about that? Is that quick or do you want to say
Last
that for
note,
next?
it's real fast.
Okay.
Uh, Last note. So, esports boxing club is coming out. They said it's touted as a game by the fans for the fans. So the last time we had like a real good, like legit boxing game that wasn't like something VR related, but like a
Mm-hmm.
legit boxing game was Fight Night Champion in 2011. So 11 years
Yes. I have that
ago.
too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so boxing's back. I don't know the full details of the game yet. They're still building it, but it's built by fans for
Okay.
fans. Uh, and it's gonna have like the likeness of a bunch of boxers and everything in there, and a huge roster, 100 licensed boxers, 7 championship titles, different attributes and traits. I don't know if it's purely online or not yet, but it's a game to look out for. So if
Okay.
you're a boxing fan and you miss boxing games, like I definitely miss them,
Mm-hmm.
esports boxing club.
Nice. So that's good actually. That's good because I do have that game, Champions, Fight Night Champions on Xbox. But yeah, because we haven't seen anything like that in a while. You've seen some MMA and of course wrestling, but the MMA games started to decline a little bit. So yeah, it would be good to see that. So there's one other thing here that I want to move to next week because it was actually going to be me ranting a little bit, but it might be in context a little bit better because what I'm talking about is Hasbro and their Power Ranger thing and this
Oh
obsession
yeah,
with Tommy. So that can be saved for next week as well, along with you not getting a figure, me not getting a Megazord, that whole thing. That can be saved for
yeah.
next week too, because that's not,
Week.
yeah, so that's not really that big of a deal either. But there is one thing that we can't ignore first before we get into our main event. There's a part two to this that's gonna be on next week as well. So next week we're gonna have some stuff for whoever made it
Ooh.
this far. There's a part two to this, but I wanted to speak on Dragon Ball The Breakers real quick
Yeah,
as a game, and then we'll talk about that fan thing next week. But as a game, you saw this new trailer and then you saw some of those Cell trailers before, right? Like they focused on Frieza this time.
yep.
So how do you feel about
So
this? Yeah.
I don't know. So the game, to be honest, it's Dead by Daylight with a Dragon Ball Z skin.
It almost looks like a
Essentially,
meme to me in a way. It
it
looks
does.
funny. It looks like a meme in
Yeah,
a way.
the idea is supposed to be you're a civilian. I don't know if you get like extra little powers, but it's that. But it's like Dead by Daylight trying to survive while like you don't have any powers, and then one person's gonna be the villain taking everybody out. So it's Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
but with Dragon Ball Z skin. One
Yeah.
of the things that I did like, I don't know, it struck me, and it was a small moment in the Frieza trailer, which is probably not that big of a deal, but it was just like it soured. I don't know why it soured me on the game. I guess that's not the right word. It like just made me go ugh and like cringe up a bit. There's a part where Frieza's chasing after one of the is a female character, and he's chasing after the character, and the character stops and like pokes her butt out and just shakes it, and then Frieza's stunned. for a second, and then she's able to keep running while Frieza's
Tell you it's a
frozen.
meme, dog.
And I think it's supposed to be like a distraction move. But like, looking at
Yeah,
that, it felt so out of
cringe.
place. On
Yeah,
top of that, I was like, it's Frieza. And
yeah,
like
yeah. I guess
Frieza wouldn't be distracted
if
by the
you
none of the villains in Dragon Ball Z would have been distracted. The only person
the
distracted by that,
aliens, yeah,
yeah, the only one is Roshi. Maybe Majin Buu. And like, what is she doing? Like that? Like,
yeah,
but like if Cell is gonna hurt you, he's not gonna stop because you're shaking your but maybe he's trying to see is this a fighting tactic or something like this. But past that, no, they're just gonna like laser beam you. Like what? And there was another scene, and I don't know if I'm looking at it incorrectly, and I actually rewinded and watched this part like 4 times,
yeah,
trying to figure out what's going on. There's a guy on the little like Nightwing glider, like going down, right? Like flying down.
yeah.
And there's like an energy beam wall, and he kind of just phases through it and keeps gliding down to the ground, and then the energy beam wall like explodes. So I don't know if it was a villain attack that he was trying to get away from, but he went straight through the lasers. Like that was what I noticed. It's like, and I kept rewinding. It's like maybe it was like a invisible shrinking wall, like certain games where they do it, where like there's like a barrier and it keeps shrinking in as the level goes. So it's like it's much harder because everybody's in a tighter location. And at the first I thought maybe it was that, but then there was an explosion, and that's what I was like, wait, was that an attack that they just walked through? It was like or flew through, and I was so confused. It just looks, I don't know. It looks like it'll be goofy and
It
maybe
looked
fun for like
hilarious to me.
round or
Yeah.
two. It doesn't to me have the longevity of Dead by Daylight.
Nah, the longevity is gonna be the fighter games. They did have moments where, like you said, powers. You don't know if they have powers. There, I remember from some of the other footage, they do have powers if they get a certain power up where they find it in the field. Because there was one
Oh,
where you turned into Goku for a second, and it went from like Dead by Daylight to almost Tenkaichi or Xenoverse for a minute, and or not, what is it called? Did I say Xenoverse? Is that right?
yeah.
I'm thinking of, oh, my
Yeah, Dragon
brain
Ball
went to
Xenoverse.
Nintendo for a second. Like, I'm thinking of that.
No, Dragon Ball Xenoverse
Yeah.
or Tenkaichi
Not the other
series,
way. But yeah,
Budokai and Xenoverse. Yep. Or
yeah.
Raging Blast.
Yeah, but it happens like that when you get a certain thing, and I think you can get a rocket at some point. It's like that's not really powers, but I mean,
To stun the villain from about
yeah.
to get you. That's the
It
idea. Is they're there
sounds
to like,
goofy. It looked
yeah,
goofy. It looked hilarious to me. I think it looks funny. I'm gonna be honest though, it's not a game that I think is for me. But it does look like if I had my favorite streamer kind of person, I would sit back with some food and laugh and watch. But I don't know
yeah.
if I would buy this day one. It don't seem like something I would buy. It's
No.
surviving off of Dragon Ball Z. I will say it is a breath of fresh air for them as a franchise because they had
Yeah,
the
some
fighting games and then they had it where they tried to make it open worldish for a second while still being the same fighting game. And so now they're
yep.
doing this, but they still have that mechanic in there. So I think it's still like the same engine or whatever. But they're switching some stuff up. So
Yeah.
I'm not
So
against
I'm
it.
not mad that this game is being made at all. It is a breath of fresh air. It's different, right? It's not your
Yeah,
just fighting game. It's not your like create a character, and it's not your like play through the story again. All right, it's its own thing. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's for me.
yeah, hilarious though. And I
Yeah.
will say for anybody who's gonna watch this, I am gonna clip this, and I want to tell you, tune in next week. We will definitely talk about the fan film. I'm gonna do my homework and see it. I forgot about it before, so we're gonna talk about that for sure next week. And like, comment,
Like,
share, subscribe. Yes. Okay. Now, this we can't leave to next week. This has to be said. So this is going to be our last thing. I think I'm looking at this. Almost everything else is going to be moved. Everything else is already covered. But last final things, not really gaming related, but it's still within the genre, and we're going to talk more about this type of thing going forward. We're going to still mention movies, all that stuff. We're going to have some fun with this podcast.
oh
But
yeah.
We spoke on this individual before, as well as cancel culture, but Vince McMahon, yes, the Vince McMahon, has said, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm going to take my money while I can. And he's getting up out of here. It seemed like he probably had enough time real quick to move some money around to make sure he don't lose nothing. And just announce he announcing his retirement, and he is getting out of Dodge, man.
At 77 years old.
Yeah, he waited. I honestly feel like he would have kept going to 87 if he could.
I thought he was going to.
This is one of the things, yeah.
I thought he would go until he was going to die.
It's just what's so crazy about it for me is like what took him out of here was the cancel culture thing. Like it really, that's what did him in. It wasn't like another. It definitely wasn't gonna be AEW. He would have been trucking along no matter what. But what took him out was cancel culture, and rightfully so if it's true. If everything's true, I still think it's true because Vince McMahon come from an era way before, the PC era. So yeah, I believe it's true. But the thing about it is, for somebody like him, even if you took some money away from him, you can't take all of it. And he already 77. It's like he lived his life. He kind of got away with it in a way. That's crazy, man. Wrestling, I've seen a few takes here and there. I honestly feel like wrestling's not going to change that much. I don't think. I think some of the most craziest, quirky, the whole suffer and succotash thing, you're not going to see something like that, maybe. But I think part of it was still him having to answer to investors. Like, he's going away. Them investors are not. And one of the things that they said, one thing they said about the Attitude Era was when people were saying, can you do that again or whatever? I remember them saying a few times, it was like, they got to watch what people say because of investors. Right. It's like, they're not watching what they say because of Vince. People got to remember that. It's because of the investors. So not everybody got a free mic. And then at the same time, the rest of the world is so fragile that even if they tried, like their own fan base would try to cancel them in a way sometimes. Like, I don't think that today's world is even ready for an attitude era. Maybe even ruthless aggression might be too much for them now at this point.
Yeah. So where I'm at, so with Vince, the only thing I think might change, which I think this part's for the better. Yeah. Vince didn't have a way of, like, with his control, like nature and everything, he has a very clear mindset of what he wanted. He knows what he wanted over. He knows what he wanted in the crown. And certain times the fans go against what he wanted, and I think he did not lean into it. Whereas I think now they might lean into it. So, for example, the Zack Ryder getting over online, like on his own with his own little YouTube channel, and just getting over because he wasn't being used on television, and then fans are begging for Zack Ryder. Well, Vince McMahon kind of punished him for it. Like, he would just like lose and had to do the whole humiliation storyline. Whereas I think now, they'll just like start using him. They'll let him be over. Or the Rusev Day thing, where I was like, go out there and say this. They said it. It got way too over. And Vince is like, they don't like it. They're just making fun of you. And just like moved on. Whereas I think now they would have pulled that trigger and let them do their thing. Not like, well, Rusev's world champion now, but like at least tag team champions. Push them, use them. Like, I think there's going to be more of that. There's going to be a recognizing of, like, not necessarily what the fans want, but what's over, and capitalize on it before it's too late. As opposed to having that singular vision and sticking to it. I will say for Vince, as much as I'll complain about the product, and like at the time I only watched NXT, and then I stopped watching NXT 2.0. I've started not liking it, and I don't really watch the main roster. So I just really haven't been watching wrestling outside of pay-per-views. And even then I missed a couple. Like, I was just like, I just don't feel like it. Like Backlash, I was like, I just don't want to watch it. But I will say, despite me not like a lot of times not agreeing with his direction and everything like that, we can't argue that this dude's not legendary. Like he's not an
Oh yeah,
icon.
of course he did. Like
He
you talk about
revolutionized.
with other people. It's like they've been there maybe 15, 20 years. It's like, yo, this is somebody like 40, 50 years in the game.
Yeah,
Like my man's seen it all. Like he was there when the main show was a house show. Like,
yeah.
like he didn't see it all.
And it's just there's that. There's let's
Yeah,
be honest, like people who don't watch wrestling, they know the name Vince McMahon,
yeah.
for sure. And there's no The Rock without Vince. There's no Cena, like
The
John
Vince
Cena.
McMahon and the Vince and Stone Cold feud is what really like
Yep.
catapulted WWF at the time.
Uh-huh.
So
There's that.
yeah,
Like this dude's legendary. He's brought so much joy. My childhood is wrestling and things like that. And
yeah.
we got these major stars now outside of wrestling that
Wrestling
wouldn't have
video
probably
games used to be a real big deal for me back in the N64 and PS2 era. Like,
mine were the PS2, PS3 ish era, still now, but like heavy for
yeah.
like that PS2 era. Yeah. So
The
thank
thing
you,
about it, I
Vince.
don't think too much is going to actually go change because, for the most part, in the last, I want to say, decade or so, he wasn't really on TV like that. But at the same time, when you look
This,
at people who are legends, like I could think
uh-huh.
of Ric Flair, for example. Ric Flair don't own anything in WWE. How many times have they brought him back? Right?
Right.
So I don't see Vince McMahon just never being on TV no more. I see him coming back plenty of times just to
Yeah,
make an
no.
appearance. I think he'll be
For
making the appearance because it's already like that now. It's just he's not like making the decision, you know. But at the
right.
same time, it's like how much different do you think it's gonna be? Because you've been watching a product with Vince McMahon gone this whole time. It's called
Uh-huh.
AEW. AEW is the product where Vince McMahon wasn't there this whole time, where you still have the same type of wrestlers. What was the
Yep.
difference? You know, you've been
So
watching it.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, you know, it's been there this whole time, and you know that whole political correctness and you can't do this and that type thing. It applies over there as well. It applies with Impact or anywhere else. So it's not going to all of a sudden just get raunchy overnight. I don't believe that at all.
Right.
Because even
Right.
even like we talked about this before the podcast went on air, um, about over a month ago, where there were people on the AEW side attempting to try to cancel Tony Khan because there wasn't representation over the title and stuff. Like people are
Yep.
already doing that within the companies, you
Yep.
know. So you expect them to really be like attitude era? That's not gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen
No,
at
not
all. I just want to see the match qualities get better, which I don't think that's going to increase that much either. I think you're still going to still see distraction roll up finishes. We pin the champion on the regular show, so that means you get to go against the champion at the pay per view. I
there's
think you're
gonna
going
be
to still
that.
see that.
Think there will be some, but I don't know. Again, I watched, like I said, I heavily watched NXT and
Yeah,
everything, and then the of NXT 2.0. I think what's gonna help is there's gonna be more consistent storytelling. Like one thing that I think NXT always did, and I always talk about that they did really, really well, is
yeah,
they'll stick to a story, they'll see it through. If things aren't working out, they'll maybe end it a little early, but they'll like see it through. It's logical, it's planned, and there's like contingency plans just in case like somebody gets hurt or things go awry. And they build little stories in between as they're doing it. Like for example, like a simple thing where two people are a rival and one of them is fighting a third person. So then the person who he's rivals with comes and interferes. Well, now that just pissed off the third person. So after this rivalry's over, or if something happens and one of them gets hurt, that third person can be their new rival
right.
because you interfere in their match. Or they'll do things where it's like two friends and one of them wins and like holds up a belt and the other one just takes a quick glance at the belt. They could like stay friends and nothing ever comes of it. They could end up fighting, but those seeds were sown like early on, and they just do long-term storytelling and they flesh everything out. Whereas I think for the main roster, things will get ripped up and just rework last minute. Matches would just be on repeat, and it'll be the same thing each week because they've ripped up the script an hour before they're about to start. So I feel like that part may change a little bit. You'll see a lot more stories to me potentially fleshed out, at least hopefully.
I hadn't looked too much into this outside of the initial announcement, but is he retiring where he's effective immediately, or is he like is there like a window and it's like at this certain date and he's still there right now?
I think as of Friday night, Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon are the co-CEOs, and Triple H is head of talent relations. Like as of Friday, I think he's retired.
Okay, so we gotta talk about the real Vince, man. We gotta talk about the real Vince for a second. The dirtiest player in the game. I know they said that was Ric Flair's like saying, but no, Vince is the real dirtiest player in the game.
Oh yeah,
Vince. Like people call like the poor people ghetto and stuff, man. They did something ghetto with their money. Vince is hiding his money through Stephanie, Triple H, and Shane, and probably a couple other people we can't think of. Maybe under Linda McMahon name. He moved his money around, and he did something real quick. So he must have got some news, and sat down for a second and thought about it, and was just like, you know what? Because I don't think he just retired. I think he definitely moving some money around to make sure that if they try to get him, they can't get him. That's what
I wouldn't be surprised if because like remember they announced that they were about to do an internal investigation like 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he heard first.
Yeah, he did.
Like they came to him, it was the shareholders. So I wouldn't be surprised they came to him and said, "We are about to do this."
Yeah.
Then it was, but I feel like as soon as he knew, he started moving stuff then, and then just now was like, "All right, I'll just step down, keep it easy."
Yeah, like because we know it was already said by plenty of other wrestlers that still was there and people who retired that he was gonna probably be there until the day he died. I remember Triple H used to say that he felt like he never went to work. That's how he felt. So yeah, because as many people as there, like he just makes the final decisions and say yay or nay. Almost everybody else was doing everything anyway. So I don't believe he left because something big is about to go down. We gonna get some more news going forward, and he moved his money and he did everything he had to do. It's so WWE, at least he did that to protect the name of the business. This might be a honorable thing in a way for him, because he's like, okay, you got all these people who still work here. You got a brand for my children and my children's children, all that type of stuff. So he stepped away while they're still in there. But he himself, like, he already know his name about to go get dragged for a second. I don't know if people gonna care that much, because the people that they talking about accusing him of stuff and everything, they're all like older themselves and out of the limelight.
Already people don't care, because when they say like Vince did this, a lot of people are like, no doubt. Like they was like, you look at him and be like, of course. Like, the only thing that's weird is between him retiring is like, I don't imagine like it being fun at home. Like he's got to go home and sit with Linda while like there's just constant news of like, and then he cheated here, and then he cheated here, and it's like she knew, but like it was like.
But didn't nobody care before? Like he became a meme for a second because he jumped off the thing.
Yeah,
like, so yeah, I mean it is what it is, I guess. So yeah.
Shout out TV personality and like head of the company Vince for like giving this great product throughout my childhood and creating something that I can like enjoy and complain about and be passionate about. And to the man Vince McMahon, like, homie, enjoy your retirement and just get ready because you're about to be dragged for a little.
Man, you see this part on the screen? This part you missed. I had got jumped. I was like, yo, I got jumped. But yeah,
I was on doing what I needed to do. Tribes of Midgard, folks. Collect your resources. You over here getting chased. I was nowhere near you.
See, this is what's happening to Vince right now. He's like, all right, I gotta get up out of here. They after me. It's just so, I still think it's crazy, because at the end of the day, what is taking people out is cancel culture. That's the part
Yep.
that's so crazy to me is that it comes down to cancel culture.
Yep.
And so I guess it is what it is. Well, the dude's still a legend in what he did. Well, he was still, he. It's not like he was Chris Benoit. There's still a giant Chris Benoit fan base. He didn't. He didn't. Some people say it is similar to Chris Benoit. You already know how that goes. Too many
Not.
politics. We ain't got to worry about it. That is
He
it for
did
this show, though.
pay people hush money. That's
Yeah,
all.
it's hush money. Yeah, he taking the hush money. He taking the rest of the money and moving it around. You already know because what's gonna happen is this is what's gonna happen because this is what happens with all the rich people. They're gonna be like, you got to pay this, and you're gonna be like, no, I don't. Bankruptcy. That's what they do. That is what they do. And they're gonna be like, oh, what bankruptcy? You're not bankrupt. Let's look at your stuff. And his funds are gonna be in his children and everybody else. He's just gonna be chilling. Once
Yep.
those investigations go back, he gonna get some of the funds back. He already older and everything. Dog, we had to go off air on this. I can tell you about how dirty. I've seen accounts and stuff, but that's a whole nother thing. Rocket Launcher podcast, we did it. We went overtime by almost 40 minutes, 35 extra minutes. There's so much more that we're going to cover next week. I'll give you the rundown. We're going to talk about the Jeepers Creepers movie. We're going to talk about Orphans movie that's coming up. We're going to talk about the last Halloween movie. And then we're going to talk about a section about Power Rangers in Hasbro with their figures. That's everything non-gaming related. There's going to be plenty of gaming related topics. We're going to have more games that we're going to be playing that you can see. Anything else you want to talk about here? Anything else you want to mention?
No, just thanks, Vince.
Yeah, thank you, Vince. Thank you, Undertaker. I just remember the chant "Thank you, Taker" or "Thank you, Undertaker" or however they did it. It's like they go chant "Thank you, Vince." It's just it's weird though because like with the new age people who probably watch NXT maybe more, I don't think that they've witnessed the on-air Vince McMahon. Like they probably that was before their time. Like they might have seen him appear every now and then, and they probably know who he is because of like the fan base. But the new fans don't really know Vince like that right now. Anyway, I don't think they do.
You don't have to worry too much about that because NXT main audience was like 40 to 65 or something like that. Like it was popular amongst the 65 and up club. So
Okay,
these
never mind.
general, they don't know Vince.
Then.
Yeah, no, that was.
I'll say this last thing about wrestling. Here's what I want. One, cut them titles in half. You don't need that many titles. And then two, just make it come off more realistic. That it makes sense for these people to want to fight each other for the title and make the title feel important. Like, we already got reports that I don't know what Vince's relationship was with Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar is like, oh, they probably not going to give me that much money or something because it sounded like he want to split. And then it also
he came back. He came back Friday night.
He came back Friday, but I don't know if it's
Friday and came back Friday.
Well, not only that, I think there was also reports that Goldberg was going to be ready to come in and stuff. It's like, just now if he was the one who was behind all of the part-timer people and people from the past, then now you have a chance to actually have real new blood in there do what they got to do. Yep. So you don't end up with a Braun Strowman, you don't end up with a Bray Wyatt where you had them right when they were in their prime but you didn't use them right. You know what I mean? You don't end up with that situation. So I would tell you this jump starts me into getting back into it. So I definitely am going to catch up. I know I say it all the time. But I'm going to keep an eye on the newer product too, because I don't think you're going to see that big of a change right away. You'll see the change in maybe a year or two when they're like really in charge and they're really starting to make some big decisions. It's like, let's see what happens in the WrestleMania times. But that is it. That's all we got for you. Way over time. Any last words?
Uh, Stay cool. It's hot. I hate the heat. Drink that water.
Yeah, stay cool, keep yourself hydrated. And the last thing I'm going to say is what I always say: don't forget to wash the back of your ears. And we are out.